venerable golden immortal cultivator, an ancient progenitor of a golden immortal sect, at a moment like this, casually set aside all decorum and flung down a challenge at Jiang Chengxuan. This sudden turn of events stunned everyone present. Even Jiang Chengxuan himself had been taken completely by surprise. "Your Excellency, you already stand among the golden immortals. Why stoop to our level? I fear this is most improper." Yun Tian and Yun Dai exchanged uneasy glances as they tried to reason with the arterial blood demon immortal, appealing to his pride and reputation to make him withdraw his challenge. "HMPH, my decisions are mine alone, none of your business." Before they could protest further, the demon immortal's expression darkened. With a cold snort, his golden immortal aura flared outward, bombarding Yun Tian and Yun Dai like a crushing weight. Their minds grew muddled, their retorts dying on their lips. But he paid them no more heed. Stepping past the two stunned celestial beings, he fixed a frosty glare on Jiang Chengxuan. Jiang Chengxuan met his gaze without flinching, their eyes locked in the boundless void, the tension between them crackling like drawn blades. "How about it? If you're too scared, just admit defeat." "Ha!" The demon immortal curled his lips in a malicious grin, his laughter echoing through the deep expanse. His words sounded like a courtesy, a reminder that the duel was perfectly within the rules and that Jiang Chengxuan still had the option to concede. But the mockery hid darker designs. He harbored a long-standing grudge against Jiang Chengxuan and the Yunlin sect. His challenge was never about a fair fight. Whether he won or lost would not change the sect's position. Only a contest between golden immortals could earn the crucial 5 points needed to surpass the Yunlin sect's current 4, and that required both contestants to truly commit, just as when Master Yuing faced Elder Yunqi. From the start, his goal was simple: force Jiang Chengxuan to admit defeat, shatter his spirit, and publicly humiliate him. Though it seemed petty, it would deal a psychological blow to the young cultivator's resolve. A true sovereign's path demanded fearlessness and relentless momentum. Any sign of hesitation would fatally undermine Jiang Chengxuan's confidence. If Jiang Chengxuan capitulated now, his trial of spirit would end prematurely. If he accepted the duel, the demon immortal would unleash every hidden trick to break him, and leave an even deeper scar on his soul. Although the rules limited a golden immortal to the power of a profound immortal in such a match, everyone knew that the gap between golden and profound immortals went far deeper than just cultivation level. It encompassed Tao principles, spirit, techniques, and more. No matter how formidable Jiang Chengxuan was, the demon immortal possessed countless clandestine methods. This was a deadly trap. Jiang Chengxuan immediately understood. Whether he fought or fled, the outcome was bleak. Perhaps Yuing Daxian and this arterial blood demon immortal were in cahoots. The first challenge drew Elder Yunqi away, creating the perfect moment for this scheme. With Elder Yunqi unable to intervene, Jiang Chengxuan's life hung by a thread. Recalling all this, a chill swept through him even as a silent fury kindled in his heart. He longed to wipe that haughty smile from the demon immortal's face. Do you really think he'll accept the challenge? He's a golden immortal. No profound immortal would dare provoke one. I doubt it. If he doesn't realize the danger, he could be destroyed. I smell a conspiracy. Why would the blood demon immortal stoop to this? What grudge does he hold? All around, cultivators murmured, shocked and uneasy. Even Elder Tianjian's gaze flickered with thought. But he said nothing. Combat was a matter of will, and no one could decide another's fate. The choice lay entirely with Jiang Chengxuan. Chapter 1823, Fearless Response, A Bold Scheme, Part 2. If Jiang Chengxuan refused, and the arterial blood demon immortal insisted on bullying the weaker party, then Elder Tianjian would step in to stop it. That was out of respect for the rules. After a brief uproar, all eyes returned to Jiang Chengxuan, curiosity burning. Would he accept the challenge or admit defeat? Most believed Jiang Chengxuan would refuse, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The gap between a golden immortal and a profound immortal was like a chasm. A single hand could crush the weaker at will. A golden immortal's challenge. Amid the watchful silence, Jiang Chengxuan suddenly smiled and said, "Interesting, I accept." At these words the crowd gasped, hearts jolted, and they all drew a sharp breath. Jiang Chengxuan had actually accepted the demon immortal's challenge. What audacity! This outcome shattered all expectations. Even arterial blood demon immortal's expression darkened with fury and a fierce glare. Though he had anticipated this, Jiang Chengxuan's acceptance ignited a roaring anger inside him. It proved the young cultivator was not afraid of a golden immortal at all, a deep insult to his pride. Good, such courage. Let's see if you have the same guts in your next life. With killing intent now openly blazing, the demon immortal sneered coldly at Jiang Chengxuan. Just as expected, the demon immortal wants to strike first. Sai so young and reckless, risking everything in a moment of bravado. True genius only matters if they grow. Death renders all meaningless. Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan remained calm, but many other cultivators sighed, already mourning the fall of this rising star. Could it be that we'll just stand by and let the demon immortal act with impunity? Elder Yajin Xianzan of the Tianjian sect spoke reluctantly. Though an opponent, he admired Jiang Chengxuan's character and talent and did not want to see him perish. It hasn't started yet. The outcome is still uncertain. Elder Tianjian stroked his beard and said seriously, surprising Yajin Xianzan with the faint hope in his expression. Could their patriarch believe Jiang Chengxuan had a chance? Jiang Chengxuan's power was extraordinary, able to suppress 3 peers at once. Yet against the demon immortal, even those peers would fall in a few rounds. Friend, you're foolish to accept. Even refusal only costs 1 point. We still win. That old demon is scheming. He only wants to trick you. You're walking right into his trap. Yun Tian and Yun Dai, having recovered from their shock, pleaded urgently with Jiang Chengxuan, fully understanding the demon immortal's plot. Jiang Chengxuan, don't act on impulse. Our patriarch is occupied, help might come too late. Just concede now. No need to stoop to his level. When you become a golden immortal, you can crush him easily. Seeing Jiang Chengxuan's silence, they grew more desperate, speaking rapidly. But Jiang Chengxuan smiled wearily, understanding their sincerity, and replied calmly, I know all this. Rest assured, I won't throw my life away on a whim. At this, Yun Tian and Yun Dai hesitated, then stopped urging him, reading the resolute determination in his eyes. Then be careful. When things cannot be done, you must protect yourself, they warned. Following their counsel, Jiang Chengxuan waved them off, summoned his divine power, and stepped into a secluded void. You've chosen to die in a golden immortal's lair. Quite the lucky place. The demon immortal followed, his demonic aura surging like a wild beast eyeing its prey. Demon immortal, you jest. I've survived many near-death trials. It must mean good fortune. This place is reserved for others to enjoy, Jiang Chengxuan shot back, hinting that even with the demon immortal's full golden immortal might, he had yet to suppress him. HMPH, you might escape the early days, but not the end, the demon immortal snarled, his anger flaring. Prepare to die. Without restraint, his rage exploded, infernal energy blazing wildly, shaking the cosmos. The terrifying pressure surged forward, striking at Jiang Chengxuan with ruthless force. Though bound by rules to suppress his power to a profound immortal's level, the refined might of a golden immortal could never be matched by an ordinary profound immortal. In an instant, the space within 100 miles twisted and warped, layers of colossal waves crashing down toward Jiang Chengxuan, shattering space with every blow. Demonic energy swirled like a flood of destruction. Eternal sacred scripture, manifest. Jiang Chengxuan immediately responded without a hint of hesitation. Behind him, the mysterious realm of the profound world burst forth in dazzling brilliance. Golden runes appeared, coalescing into a shining star system that shimmered and floated like a divine scripture enveloping the universe, mystical and sacred. The supreme aura restrained even the demon immortal's energy, turning it into thick smoke that hissed upon contact with the golden light. Boom! The tremendous forces collided with a deafening roar, shaking the void as if a supernova exploded, unleashing thunder and pressure that swept across thousands of miles. Even the ongoing duel between Master Yuing and Elder Yunqi felt the shockwave. What's happening? Who's fighting? Elder Yunqi's heart tightened as he sensed the disturbance. While fending off Master Yuing's interference, he probed with his golden immortal consciousness and realized the battle was between Jiang Chengxuan and the demon immortal. So it's like this. You shameless fiend, how dare you show such disrespect? Elder Yunqi immediately pieced together the entire scheme, knowing Master Yuing was also involved, deliberately provoking him. Heh, the taller the tree, the harder the wind blows. Today I'll teach that brat a lesson. Master Yuing laughed wildly, his voice echoing from the netherworld, penetrating everywhere. Clearly he cared nothing for Elder Yunqi's rebuke. Face was a concept he never bothered with. But while he might disrespect others, no one could deny his insolence. You 2 old fossils think your schemes will succeed. Don't think Tianjian sect will stand idly by. Elder Yunqi shouted again, his anger plain as he grew more impressed with Jiang Chengxuan. The provocations had clearly stirred his wrath. Chapter 1824. Astonishing Growth, The Heart of the Deadly Move, Part 1. Once, when Elder Yunqi first heard of Jiang Chengxuan, he only regarded him as a mysterious prodigy, nothing extraordinary in the ancient realm. In the vast boundless domain, geniuses appeared by the thousands each era, more numerous than grains of sand in a river. Yet among all these talents, only a rare few ever reached the pinnacle of cultivation. So although Elder Yunqi thought Jiang Chengxuan was impressive, he merely saw him as a promising figure, worthy enough for Yunnan Feng to associate with. However, after witnessing one astonishing event after another, Elder Yunqi completely changed his view. Jiang Chengxuan was not just another prodigy. He was an unparalleled prodigy far beyond imagination. At the Xianxian profound immortal stage, Jiang Chengxuan could easily suppress others of the same realm and even confront a golden immortal powerhouse head-on without harm. Such feats were unprecedented, even in all of Elder Yunqi's vast experience and knowledge. What made Jiang Chengxuan even more remarkable was his temperament. Unlike most geniuses who were arrogant and disdainful, he was calm and possessed extraordinary wisdom. Because of all these discoveries, Elder Yunqi came to regard Jiang Chengxuan as a cherished friend, someone he was willing to support by any means necessary. He sensed that, with Jiang Chengxuan's talent, breaking through to golden immortal was merely a matter of time. An obstacle that had deterred countless immortals could not stop him. Furthermore, with the alliance between Yunnan Feng and Jiang Chengxuan, their mutual support would surely elevate the Yunlin immortal sect to a new level. This was Elder Yunqi's grand ambition. He had long thought it would take him further cultivation breakthroughs to restore the sect's glory, but that path was too difficult. Jiang Chengxuan was a shortcut laid out before him. Yet, as the fierce aura of Jiang Chengxuan's battle with the Arhat blood demon immortal reached him, Elder Yunqi could not help but feel uneasy. The last time Jiang Chengxuan faced the Arhat blood demon immortal, his survival was largely due to the latter's underestimation and wasted time. If this enemy unleashed his full fury at once, who could say what might happen to Jiang Chengxuan? Ewing, what benefit do you gain from this? Are you trying to become a dog of the Arhat blood sect? Elder Yunqi scolded sharply during his confrontation with Ewing Immortal, hoping to stop him so he could free himself to save Jiang Chengxuan. Ewing Immortal's sinister face appeared in the void, his cold laugh echoing. My sect has an elder who died by that boy's hand. Today's events are his just punishment. Ha ha ha. This revelation shocked Elder Yunqi. Jiang Chengxuan had never mentioned any feud with the Ewing sect before. He had wondered why this normally indifferent Ewing Immortal had allied with the Arhat blood sect against Jiang Chengxuan. On the surface, this alliance seemed illogical. There was no apparent benefit to Ewing Immortal, whose sect acted only out of self-interest. Now Elder Yunqi finally understood the complicated reasons, but realized he was powerless to intervene unless he could suppress Ewing Immortal, an impossible feat given their comparable strength and the Ewing sect's mysterious heritage, which made delaying tactics unmatched. Meanwhile, on another battlefield, Jiang Chengxuan and the Arhat blood demon immortal clashed at their peak. As the first wave of their devastating impact faded, heavy immortal light and demonic aura exploded outward, raging storms swirling around two figures like thunderbolts, repeatedly striking with overwhelming destructive power, stirring vast waves of chaos. Despite the Arhat blood demon immortal's relentless suppression, Jiang Chengxuan did not collapse as expected. Instead, he activated the 10,000 world manifestation scripture, commanding a sea of golden light, wielding the primordial chaos sword that radiated a dazzling sun, relentlessly incinerating the soaring demonic aura. This sacred and mysterious power had a profound suppressive effect on demonic energy. Even the golden immortal could not bypass this restraint. Witnessing this, all onlookers were stunned, murmuring in disbelief. Did I see that right? Jiang Chengxuan actually resisted the Arhat blood demon immortal's oppression. No, he not only resisted, he even matched the golden immortal's might head-on. Impossible, I must be hallucinating. Without question, this spectacle was astonishing. Many immortals had never seen anything like it. Jiang Chengxuan's feat shattered their understanding far more than when he once suppressed 3 enemies of the same realm alone. The golden immortal represented boundless power and absolute authority, yet Jiang Chengxuan defied all expectations, an unthinkable and unbelievable prodigy. Among them, the immortals of the Tianjian sect were most shocked. As a militant tradition, they understood better than anyone the significance of Jiang Chengxuan's ability to counter the Arhat blood demon immortal. Throughout the history of the ancient realm, reckless challengers were not rare, but none dared to challenge a golden immortal, especially not one whose power was restrained. Chapter 1825. Astonishing Growth, the Heart of the Deadly Strike 2. Xianxia, who had once sparred with Jiang Chengxuan, was dumbfounded, both shocked and exhilarated. Though he had always held Jiang Chengxuan in high regard, even he hadn't expected him to reach such heights. Indeed, I wasn't mistaken. In that earlier battle, the young man clearly hadn't even unleashed his full strength. At this moment, even the venerable Tianjian elder's eyes gleamed with sharp insight as he murmured to himself. From beginning to end, Jiang Chengxuan had appeared calm and unshaken, as if completely unfazed by the might of the arterial blood demon immortal. With the elder's vast experience, he knew this was no reckless bravado, but a sign of true confidence and mastery. Now, Jiang Chengxuan displayed an astonishing level of combat prowess, matching the ruthless strikes of the arterial blood demon immortal blow for blow. Fortunately, Taoist Jiang's strength is indeed extraordinary. He won't let that demon succeed. Under these circumstances, Yun Tian and Yun Dai both exhaled in relief, their racing hearts gradually calming. There was no doubt, Jiang Chengxuan's survival last time was due entirely to his own power, not mere luck. Demonic might shakes the heavens. Yet in an instant, the arterial blood demon immortal, troubled and suspicious, unleashed a mighty divine ability. Under the ever-increasing pressure of his golden immortal aura, a vast, sky-darkening cloud of demonic energy spread like a giant hand eclipsing the deep void. Invisible to all but sensed by the soul, a massive demonic silhouette materialized at the edge of the cosmos, glaring fiercely as it let loose a roar filled with primal terror. This divine ability required no overwhelming cultivation power. Instead, it relied on the intangible suppression created by their disparity in realm. It was one of the arterial blood demon immortal's secret finishing moves, prepared specifically to suppress Jiang Chengxuan. Though it lacked earth-shattering immortal power, it condensed the golden immortal's pressure, unleashing an attack rivaling the strength of a true golden immortal. His golden immortal power, the arterial blood demon immortal, came prepared. Jiang Chengxuan is in grave danger now. How can he possibly withstand genuine golden immortal force? Sensing this overwhelming power, Jiang Chengxuan's heart grew heavy. Without hesitation, he waved his hand, and from the depths of the mysterious realm, a surge of immortal light shot skyward. Hum! Mid an ethereal hum, a nine-colored divine lotus bloomed behind Jiang Chengxuan. Amidst the profound radiant glow, a vibrant bodhi tree swayed gently, emanating an astonishingly vast immortal power. This was the nine-wondrous bodhi lotus lamp. After arriving here, Jiang Chengxuan was unleashing this golden immortal treasure for the first time, once again stunning everyone present. Under the lamp's power, Jiang Chengxuan's aura soared rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, he ascended to the peak of the profound immortal realm. At a glance, he now rivaled the suppressed arterial blood demon immortal in strength. Rumble! Mid the astonished gazes of all spectators, a violent surge of heavenly light erupted, devouring the darkness of the deep void within a radius of thousands of miles. This wild force rent the spatial fabric, summoning countless thunderclaps as the stars themselves collided and exploded, turning into a vast cloud of dust and shimmering light. Is this still the power of a profound immortal? A golden immortal treasure, such a grand display. What is Jiang Chengxuan's true identity to possess such a treasure? In an instant, many immortals were stunned, struggling to breathe under the weight of Jiang Chengxuan's sudden demonstration of power. They recognized the formidable energy of the nine-wondrous bodhi lotus lamp and were dumbfounded, never imagining Jiang Chengxuan would wield such a treasure. Aside from the few from the arterial blood sect, Xianxia and Xianxia stared wide-eyed, especially the latter, who was speechless. They hadn't expected Jiang Chengxuan to conceal such a trump card during the fierce battle just now. It was easy to imagine. Had Jiang Chengxuan fought with full force to suppress them, that tortuous fight would have ended instantly. How much more has this guy been hiding? Everyone's hearts trembled, including the likes of Beast Storage Demon Lord and others. With each move Jiang Chengxuan made, he grew astonishingly fast. Strangely, they began to worry. Could it be that their ancestors, with all their cunning and schemes, still couldn't suppress this monster? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Denying this possibility, the beast storage lord and the others insisted internally that, with the arterial blood demon immortal's involvement, Jiang Chengxuan must die here today. This brat's power has grown again. As if sensing this in unison, deep within the dense, world-shrouding chaotic streams, the arterial blood demon immortal thought the same. After 2 exchanges, he confirmed Jiang Chengxuan's strength had improved, especially the mysterious golden scripture, now to a degree even he could not ignore. He knew he hadn't held back this time, yet Jiang Chengxuan still forcefully countered. This child must not live. Dark Grimscythe, execute. Understanding the dark intent behind this, the arterial blood demon immortal's killing intent grew heavier. He was resolute that even if it meant offending other golden immortals, he must end Jiang Chengxuan's life here. This might be his last chance. The speed of this youth's growth was terrifying beyond measure. Rip! In the depths of the cosmic void, a bone scythe forged from skeletal bones reappeared. This was the arterial blood demon immortal's true golden immortal treasure. Once unleashed, its sharpness and oppressive aura dominated the battlefield, tearing a massive rift through the chaos, revealing waves of nothingness. Let's see if you can still endure this. Immediately, the arterial blood demon immortal pushed his immortal power to its limit. Behind him, the demonic energy coalesced into a faint, shadowy cosmic void, endlessly pouring power into the ominous bone scythe, summoning terrifying demonic sounds. In an instant, the entire cosmic pit was plunged into pure darkness. All light was swallowed, causing the Tianjian elder's eyes to narrow sharply. Such a surge in power was enough to almost break the restrictions the arterial blood demon immortal had set for himself, pushing him dangerously close to the golden immortal level. But he controlled this threshold precisely, keeping it just within the rules, like a fragile sheet of paper barely intact. Because of this, the Tianjian elder remained unable to intervene in this battle, but the peril Jiang Chengxuan faced had multiplied several times. Swift as thought, the terrifying dark cosmic shadow swept down as the arterial blood demon immortal swung the bone scythe toward Jiang Chengxuan. In that blur, spectators seemed to see invisible layers being sliced, layers of universal law, even space and time themselves. This slash was undoubtedly a deadly strike, the strongest attack the arterial blood demon immortal could muster under suppression. Its power was enough to make even golden immortals wary, lest they suffer grievous wounds. How terrifying a force! The arterial blood demon immortal has truly drawn blood. This strike is so fearsome, an offensive golden immortal treasure surpasses the rest. Jiang Chengxuan is doomed. No good, can Taoist Jiang still hold on? This scene chilled all the onlookers, plunging them into an icy despair. The arterial blood demon immortal's displayed power was at a hopeless level. Putting themselves in Jiang Chengxuan's place, none believed they could withstand the blow. They would surely perish, their souls scattered. Even Yun Tian and Yun Dai, who had always believed in Jiang Chengxuan, held their breath, eyes bloodshot, unable to bear witnessing his fate. Though Jiang Chengxuan once claimed to have survived the arterial blood demon immortal's grasp unharmed, they still had no idea of the true circumstances. Perhaps it was just a fortunate coincidence, a fleeting moment of luck. Chapter 1826, Complete Madness Part 1. In the cultivation world, among all the divine treasures, the most precious and powerful are those meant for attack and conquest. Because in battle, opponents wielding offensive treasures can often crush others of the same level with overwhelming force. In the realm of cultivation, strength is everything. Once you possess the means to utterly dominate opponents of your rank, everything else becomes easily attainable. So when the wild blood demon immortal unleashed his treasured artifact, the sinister bone scythe, many immortals immediately sensed that the tide of battle was about to shift drastically. Jiang Chengxuan's 9 wondrous Bodhi Lotus lantern was clearly not an offensive treasure. Even if handed to another golden immortal, it would be impossible to withstand the full might of the bone scythe in a direct clash. Moreover, Jiang Chengxuan was no match in rank for the wild blood demon immortal. On the battlefield, as countless immortals watch in horror, the bone scythe fell with terrifying speed, almost instantaneous, as if time and space themselves ceased to exist before it. The vast cosmic void was torn open by the blade, deathly silence spreading like a still, dark pool, suffusing everything with the chill of death and suppressing all life. In a daze, even the heavens and earth seemed to fall silent. Before Jiang Chengxuan's eyes, Nothing remained but the looming black scythe descending upon him. Eternal manifestation, immortal shield. Yet amid this mortal terror, Jiang Chengxuan's gaze remained firm. With a fierce shout, the world behind him, the Xuanyuan realm, was stirred into a storm of swirling divine light. 4 immortal peaks carved with primal runes rose abruptly, piercing the clouds. Beneath the clear starlit sky, they radiated ancient brilliance, enveloping the heavens and earth. At the same time, the 9 wondrous Bodhi lotus lantern operated at full power. Its 9-colored petals shimmered in the void, continuously fluttering and releasing boundless immortal energy, infusing Jiang Chengxuan's realm. Next, the vast golden star sea formed from countless eternal manifestation sutras surged under his command. Massive waves of heavenly light tore through the darkness like meteors streaking across a black void. In an instant, this terrifying seal of power rippled outward like tidal waves, relentlessly striking the devouring darkness that consumed the cosmos. Humming. Wave after wave of golden ripples spread, accompanied by mysterious humming sounds that echoed throughout the universe. This profound resonance carried a divine sanctity. Even immortals far from the battlefield who heard it felt as if they had stepped into a sacred altar, overwhelmed by a sudden calm. What a holy power! The chaotic darkness seems to have lessened considerably. What technique is this, to be able to suppress the demonic might of such a wild blood demon immortal? Seeing the spreading darkness slow and the oppressive aura ease, the immortals were stunned, exclaiming in surprise. They sensed that Jiang Chengxuan's counterattack was extraordinary. Even before fully unleashing his power, he had carved out a sacred domain amid the dire circumstances. Could Jiang Chengxuan actually withstand the full strike of the wild blood demon immortal's golden immortal treasure? Some immortals quietly considered this possibility. HMPH mere trifles. But the wild blood demon immortal was not convinced. Observing Jiang Chengxuan's defiance, he snorted coldly. His terrifying demonic aura surged anew, swallowing the dawn's light once more. Die before me. In the next moment, the heavens and earth were plunged again into chaotic darkness. With a roar, the wild blood demon immortal swung the sinister bone scythe in a cataclysmic strike that threatened to destroy heaven and earth. Even Jiang Chengxuan could sense death's breath upon him. Wherever the bone scythe passed, only void remained, as if a giant maw sought to devour him utterly. If you want me dead, it won't be so easy. Driven by desperation, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes blazed with fierce determination. He raised his head to meet the falling scythe, shouting with resolve. At that moment, the combined power of the primal runes, eternal manifestation sutras, and 9 wondrous Bodhi lotus lanterns surged to their peak. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan thrust both palms forward. The golden runes, vast as a star sea, shot forth in dazzling divine radiance, breaking through the darkness and blotting out the sky as they surged toward the bone scythe. Boom, boom. In an instant, the two forces collided in the cosmic depths. The terrifying power and aura soared to their limits, unleashing a cataclysmic explosion that threatened to annihilate all. Thunderous roars echoed endlessly, like countless stars exploding near the ears of all watching. The sky cleaved apart across hundreds of miles, the aftershocks stretching without end. Space shattered piece by piece, and even time itself warped. Ha, let's see how this kid survives now. He's dead for sure, haha. Even the distant Yuan Great Immortal, locked in a cosmic duel with a golden immortal, sensed the tremendous shockwaves and laughed shamelessly at Elder Yunqi. With such overwhelming power, he could not fathom how a mere profound immortal could possibly survive. Upon hearing this, Elder Yunqi's expression darkened, concern creeping into his heart. But refusing to show weakness to Yuan Great Immortal's mockery, he coldly shouted back. Trying to suppress him with such a pitiful method, ridiculous beyond words. Chapter 1827, Complete Madness 2. From Yu Xing Great Immortal's perspective, all these words were nothing but stubborn defiance. He laughed loudly, eyes blazing with arrogance as he looked at Elder Yunqi. You're still clinging to your stubbornness. If this kid doesn't die today, I'll take your name as mine. But just as Yu Xing's words fell, a sudden roar erupted from the distant, explosion-ridden battlefield. Countless golden thunderbolts surged forth like dragons and serpents, and a vast, ethereal divine aura shattered the darkness and chaos, shooting straight into the sky. What's going on? What's going on? The sudden change caused all the immortals present to instinctively cry out in shock, murmurs spreading like wildfire. The golden light flared ever brighter, piercing through the chaotic currents, revealing the scene on the battlefield for all to see. There, standing firm in the shattered void, was Xianxia, his figure upright and resolute. Violent immortal energy surged and rippled around him, channeling into the front of his body. Before him stood a massive holy shield woven from golden runes, blocking out the endless chaos and darkness, intercepting the terrifying blade of the sinister bone scythe. The enormous bone scythe struck the golden shield, deeply cutting into it. Terrifying power rippled outward, leaving deep cracks across the shield's surface. Yet despite the damage, the countless intertwined golden runes gripped the shield tightly, their binding force seeping through the cracks, eroding the bone scythe's power, draining its energy. This scene drew many immortals to gasp in disbelief, eyes wide with shock. To be able to hold off the most powerful immortal treasure of the argued blood demon immortal in such a manner was nothing short of terrifying. This guy, he's practically defying the heavens. An immortal treasure of a golden immortal being blocked like this, how is that even possible? Hiss, is this still the power of a Zaan immortal? Could it be that Xianxia is actually a hidden golden immortal? The crowd erupted with speculation and shock. Some even wondered if Xianxia had once been a golden immortal who, for some unknown reason, had fallen to his current state. Otherwise, how could he wield Zaan immortal power to repeatedly contend with a golden immortal? Such a thing was unheard of. This kid is terrifying beyond words, a rare prodigy of the world. Even the usually composed elder Tianjian gave a rare expression of astonishment, praising aloud. Behind him, the proud sword venerable and others nodded in agreement, seeing no exaggeration or jealousy in the words, only truth. Having witnessed Xianxia shatter their understanding time and again, none could harbor envy, only boundless reverence. In other words, at this moment, everyone saw Xianxia as belonging to a completely different realm than themselves. Excellent, excellent Taoist Jiang. He just loves to keep surprising people. Phew, he nearly scared the old man to death, but once again, he's made everyone see him in a new light. Both Yun Tian and Yun Dai were shocked yet overjoyed. Their hearts, heavy stones, finally lifted with a long exhale. Only now did they regain complete trust in Xianxia's limitless capabilities. Holding back that attack was proof enough of many things. We're doomed, totally doomed. That Jiang fellow is truly defying the heavens. The beast-cloaked demon lord and his group panicked, their minds thrown into chaos. They still remembered everything began with their plot against the Yunlan sect's Yun Nanfeng family. Back then, Xianxia's first appearance was their last chance to suppress him. Now this mysterious prodigy had utterly transcended their imagination. In the future, the argued blood gate would face an adversary not to be taken lightly. Ha ha ha, this is hilarious. You fiend, what did you just say? HMPH, the Yunlan immortal sect doesn't need a despicable creature like you. You don't need to change your name. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, Elder Yun, she erupted into unrestrained laughter, looking at Yu Xing great immortal's pale face and stunned expression with mocking delight. His words struck a hard blow. Even Yu Xing hadn't expected Xianxia to withstand the oppressive power of the argued blood demon immortal. Caught between suspicion and burning rage, Yu Xing's expression hardened. He no longer knew how to retort to Elder Yunshi. I told you, this isn't enough to suppress me. Breaking the silence within the shattered void battlefield, Xianxia spoke first, his voice calm and unshaken as he faced the demon's furious, bloodshot eyes. Saying this, a great ease filled Xianxia's heart. His thoughts became clear. At some unknown point, the fear and reverence he once held for the once lofty golden immortals had completely vanished. He could now face them with a peaceful mind. He felt this was a breakthrough in his Tao heart, one that might soon make stepping into that realm easier. But from the argued blood demon immortal's perspective, Xianxia's calmness was infuriating, his face twisted with rage. You brat, do you realize you're courting death? Do you really think I can't deal with you? The demon shouted, his killing intent soaring until it seemed almost tangible. Xianxia remained expressionless, calmly replying, whether I can or can't isn't for words to decide. His words stoked the demon's fury to its peak, and under this invisible pressure, the entire cosmic deep space grew oppressive, as if thunder silently rumbled through the void. This is your own doing. In an instant, the argued blood demon immortal launched another attack, this time truly enraged and beyond restraint. With a roar, thunderous explosions erupted. At his position, immense, terrifying demonic energy surged into the sky, shattering the ceiling restrictions he had imposed on himself to keep his realm within Zon immortal. But now he broke his own rules, elevating his power to the golden immortal level. Though slow and fast, this change happened so suddenly that except for Xianxia, almost no one expected it. In a flash, the dark cosmic shadows behind the demon solidified, no longer illusions. Countless demonic stars flickered and burned, unleashing layers of dark, demonic light. The pressure of a golden immortal's power suddenly surged again, engulfing the entire battlefield. Then, with overwhelming demonic energy shaking the deep space, it poured into the bone scythe Xianxia had been holding back. Hum! In an instant, the scythe's demonic light flared brightly. Each white bone became translucent and distorted, emitting eerie hums. Its sharpness and destructive aura filled every inch of the void. Boom! The sacred shield formed by the eternal manifest scripture trembled violently under the assault. Where the two forces collided, magic flames and dazzling golden thunder flashed, roaring and blinding. Undoubtedly, now that the demon had unleashed his true golden immortal power, the sacred shield woven by the scripture was struggling to contain such terrifying might and could be breached at any moment. In just an instant, the battle situation turned bewildering and dangerously unstable. Chapter 1828, Clashing with a Golden Immortal, A Sudden Shocking Turn, Part 1. Not good. That old demon Arablood has no intention of playing by the rules. He's going to kill Taoist Jiang outright. Damn it, bullying the weak with such shameless arrogance. This is an outrage from a golden immortal. As the battle suddenly shifted, a pressure far stronger than before erupted, suffusing the entire universe. Only now did the assembled immortals realize the severity of the situation, their expressions changing drastically. Among them, Yun Tian and Yun Dai were the most agitated, their eyes bloodshot as they clenched their teeth, furious at Arablood's lawless act. They openly cursed without caring about his status as a golden immortal. Others, like the disciples of the Tianjian sect and members of Yuing immortal sect, wore mixed expressions and exclaimed, Arablood is using golden immortal power that breaks all the rules. He's trying to kill Jiang Chengxuan outright. Could that be his true intent? What grudge could these two possibly have? Jiang Chengxuan is in trouble. Someone must stop Arablood, but... This kid is doomed, finally. The arrogant one will die today, Yu Jiang. The Tianjian sect members were shocked and angered by Arablood's action and worried for Jiang Chengxuan's fate. Meanwhile, several Yuing immortal sect members wore joyous, almost ecstatic expressions, barely able to contain their cheers. Silent among the crowd were only the beasts, clan demon lords like Xiaoqing Demon Lord and the Elder of Tianjian, who all watched the battlefield intently, their eyes flickering with deep thought. On one side, Xiaoqing Demon Lord and the Wild Blade Demon Lords held their breath, fully focused, uncertain what to say in such a tense moment. On the other, the Elder of Tianjian hesitated, wondering if he should intervene to stop Arablood. By rights, he ought to act to uphold the agreements between them, but so many considerations crowded his mind, preventing him from acting immediately. Perhaps Jiang Chengxuan could endure this reckless assault. Perhaps letting Jiang fall here might benefit everyone. Perhaps pursuing responsibility against the beasts, clan afterward could yield even greater gains, even their elimination. These tangled possibilities gnawed at the elder's mind, causing him to miss the best moment to strike. Even with the urgent looks from the proud sword Chuan Zun behind him, he remained distracted. And then, almost in the blink of an eye, moments after Arablood broke his constraints and unleashed his golden immortal power recklessly, everything unfolded abruptly, beyond anyone's control. Jiang Chengxuan suddenly felt a terrifying weight of immortal power descend like a collapsing heaven, crashing upon the holy shield formed by the eternal manifest scripture. In an instant, the shield's binding power was sliced apart layer by the sinister bone scythe. Even the frantic rotation of the Nine Wonders Bodhi Lotus Lantern struggled to withstand the full might of this golden immortal's life treasure. This strike had shattered the stalemate. It came with extreme speed, leaving no room for evasion. Boom, 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 boom. Two golden immortal level treasures collided in deep space, the deafening thunderous roars pouring forth like a relentless torrent. Thunderbolts thicker than rivers exploded, streaking through the profound darkness, leaving scorching trails behind. The violent, chaotic aftermath ravaged the battlefield center like cannon fire, battering Jiang Chengxuan's Xuan realm boundary and stirring wild, turbulent waves that warped the heavens and earth. At the point of impact, both Jiang Chengxuan and Arablood gritted their teeth, pouring every ounce of immortal power and Tao principle they could muster into the fight, their strikes clashing thousands of times in a split second. Brilliant light and searing heat swelled, almost forming a blazing sun forged from thunder and heavenly fire, twisting and devouring all surrounding energy, exuding an intimidating aura that made hearts tremble. It seemed ready to explode at any moment, potentially detonating the entire deep space. Under such pressure, Jiang Chengxuan was clearly the one struggling the most. Arablood was after all a true golden immortal and recklessly trying to suppress a Xuan immortal. Any other would have been reduced to dust and spiritless long ago. Not to mention the bone scythe, which had now completely unleashed its terrifying power, an attack even other golden immortals would hesitate to face. But Jiang had no choice. He had to endure the blow head-on, a testament to how dire the situation was. Thanks to the double blessings of the twice-upgraded Eternal Manifest Scripture and the 9 Wonders Bodhi Lotus Lantern, both golden immortal treasures, Jiang could hold on and stand toe-to-toe without instantly dying. However, as the chaotic darkness in deep space intensified, and the cosmic flow behind Arablood pressed down with strength far beyond the Xuan immortal realm, the holy shield formed by the Scripture couldn't hold any longer. Bit by bit, it was forcibly cleaved, the Scriptures breaking apart like dust and scattering into the storm, turning into countless motes drifting through the air. Ha kid, no coffin, no tears, no crossing the yellow river, no giving up. Now you know the gap between you and me. Arablood laughed wildly, his face twisted into a cruel grimace as he bellowed with thunderous voice. Chapter 1829, Contending with a Golden Immortal, Sudden Shocking Change, Part 2. Since arriving at this ancient golden immortal's cave residence, he had never felt such an exhilarating moment. For the current arrogant blood demon immortal, nothing was more important than killing Jiang Chengxuan. I told you, if you want me dead, this still isn't enough. Jiang Chengxuan replied calmly and resolutely, his expression unmoved despite the demon immortal's confident declaration. Upon hearing this, the arrogant blood demon immortal's eyes narrowed sharply, locking fiercely with Jiang Chengxuan's in a storm of intense rivalry. Still talking tough at death's door, I will bury you right here and now, he roared fiercely. An endless surge of demonic energy erupted, fully activating his sinister bone scythe, whose chilling coldness expanded wildly, its deadly gleam swallowing hundreds of miles. In this life-and-death moment, Jiang Chengxuan refused to wait passively. He finally unleashed his trump card. With a single thought, the verdant Bodhi sapling at the center of the divine lotus formed by the 9 mystic Bodhi lotus lamp began to shimmer intensely. A peerless vitality surged within it, turning it as clear as glazed glass. In the blink of an eye, a droplet of pure, refined Bodhi sap condensed atop the sapling's tip. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan summoned another thought, and that precious Bodhi sap flew directly into his brow, merging with him. Rumble! This fusion instantly unleashed a terrifying might, replenishing the depleted immortal energy within Jiang Chengxuan, causing it to surge dramatically once again. What's this? The onlooking immortals' faces changed, their eyes widening in shock as they held their breath. The battle had reached such a fierce stage that none dared make reckless judgments. What kind of immortal treasure can instantly restore Jiang Chengxuan's strength like this? Someone whispered in amazement. But no matter how much his power grows, he still can't surpass the bottleneck of a profound immortal. Some murmured that Jiang Chengxuan's efforts seemed like a desperate last struggle. Yet on the battlefield, Jiang Chengxuan had no time to heed such doubts. This droplet of Bodhi sap was the first born from the 9 mystic Bodhi lotus lamp after long accumulation. Its power far surpassed that of a Bodhi lotus seed. Just one drop was enough to instantly restore Jiang Chengxuan to his peak condition. This resurgence caused the brilliance of the eternal manifestation scripture to bloom magnificently, forcing the sinister bone scythe to halt midair, its momentum frozen in place. HMPH, a desperate struggle like a cornered beast fighting for survival, sneered the arrogant blood demon immortal, though an unexplainable unease began to gnaw at his heart. Have you forgot? I still have this, Jiang Chengxuan said calmly. Inside his immortal realm, 2 rivers of celestial light, azure and pale, flowed and converged in his palm. Instantly, a scroll formed, shimmering with the colors of these rivers, causing the atmosphere to freeze. It was the Broken Wasteland Celestial Scroll, the strongest trump card Jiang Chengxuan possessed. Before the demon immortal could react, Jiang Chengxuan poured his restored immortal energy into the scroll. It swelled explosively with 9-colored immortal power, shooting straight into the depths of space. A seemingly endless cosmic gate towered upright in the universe. As the scroll unfolded inch by inch, it revealed a mysterious scene, a chaotic cluster of ruined stars drifting in space, rivers of celestial light and fragmented heavenly radiance weaving a profound totemic pattern. "Hiss, this is yet another golden immortal treasure," gasped many. "And it's an offensive golden immortal treasure. How many treasures does this guy have on him?" These words slipped out almost unconsciously, as many immortals were already numb from shock. Even Elder Sky's sword felt a flicker of surprise. With one golden immortal treasure after another revealed, could this imply Jiang Chengxuan's identity was extraordinary? On the battlefield, the arrogant blood demon immortal's gaze sharpened, his smile frozen stiff. Yet Jiang Chengxuan wasted no time and surged forward with a fierce attack. In an instant, the ruined heavenly radiance poured from the cosmic gate, vast and overwhelming, a destructive force that shattered the surrounding darkness and chaos, tearing through the demon immortal's heavy suppression of demonic energy. With no need to maintain defense, Jiang Chengxuan retracted the eternal manifestation scripture. In response, the demon immortal's eyes burned red as the sinister bone scythe slashed through the void, violently colliding with the ruined heavenly radiance. "Golden immortal treasures or not, today you still die," the demon immortal roared. The two offensive immortal treasures crashed mercilessly, generating an unprecedented explosion that formed a blazing sun, devouring all within sight at a visible speed. Chilling light and demonic energy raged, while the ruined heavenly radiance swept through the void, burning every shred of chaos. The dazzling light and aftershocks intensified, forcing countless immortals to shield their eyes, even shaking the entire cosmic expanse. Undeniably, Jiang Chengxuan, empowered by the Bodhi sap, had unleashed a strike that broke through his own limits, more ferocious than ever before. This was the source of his boldness in challenging the demon immortal. Facing a golden immortal, he no longer feared anything. Because none of the golden immortals present were their true selves, but merely their manifestations. Under Jiang Chengxuan's golden immortal level full power, even the demon immortal's sinister bone scythe felt tremendous pressure, as if threatening to overturn everything. "That brat still has such tricks, damn it," the demon immortal muttered bitterly. The terrifying aftershocks of their clash even impacted Elder Silent Walk and Elder Cloud World, forcing them to pause and watch in astonishment. Compared to Elder Cloud World, Elder Silent Walk felt he had suffered a great loss. Jiang Chengxuan was far more terrifying than he had imagined. Now, not only had the demon immortal failed, but he might have provoked a truly fearsome opponent. "Ha, regretting it now, it's too late." Elder Cloud World laughed coldly, clearly aware of Elder Silent Walk's thoughts. By this point, all agreed Jiang Chengxuan truly feared no golden immortal. He could contend with one at the profound immortal level without defeat. This was no exaggeration or accident. Rumble. Just as the entire audience was stunned, something completely unexpected happened. Suddenly, a rumbling collapse echoed through deep space, reverberating in everyone's minds. "What's that?" The crowd's attention shifted abruptly away from Jiang Chengxuan and the demon immortal's battlefield. A tremendous aura exploded in another direction, drawing all eyes. At the far edge of their vision, the ethereal star formed from millennia of ancient golden immortals' comprehension began to violently emit streams of mysterious light, trembling wildly. "What's happening? Why is the seal collapsing? Could it be because of this battle? That the treasure is about to be born?" Shock swept through the crowd, many gasped sharply. Even Elder Skysword could not remain calm, his aura surging as his sword brows furrowed, eyes stern. Elder Silent Walk and Elder Cloud World stood frozen in place, unable to believe that, at this critical moment, the millennia-old comprehension of the ancient golden immortal was breaking its seal. And with the contest for this treasure's ownership between the various immortal sects still unresolved, if it were to break free now, it would surely unleash unimaginable chaos and turmoil. Chapter 1830, Golden Immortal Insight, Chaos War Begins Part 1. The deep and vast cosmic void trembled incessantly at this moment, ripples of a mysterious, overwhelming energy sweeping through millions of miles of space. At the very heart of this chaos lay a star forged from the countless years of insight accumulated by an ancient golden immortal. This star continuously shifted, expanding, contracting, twisting, and pulling at reality itself. Its aura, filled with profound and arcane power, repeatedly erupted in layers of dazzling auroras, illuminating the entire deep space with flickering lights, as if revealing a sacred totemic vision. As the star's energy dispersed, all onlookers felt an inexplicable surge of ancient melancholy, a sensation as if tens of millions of years had passed in an instant, eerie and surreal. The golden immortal insight is truly about to emerge, haha. HSS at such a time too, but alas, the will of heaven, how could it happen now? Does that mean all our hard-fought battles were in vain? The gathered immortals were stirred deeply, their expressions varying, some joyous, others worried. For the members of the arrogant blood sect and the Ewing immortal sect, this unexpected emergence was a moment of celebration. The majority of this treasure was meant to belong to the victor of the contest proposed by the golden immortals. After fierce battles and trials, because of the monstrous presence of Jiang Chengxuan, the victory was all but assured for the Yunlin immortal sect. Such an outcome was utterly unacceptable to the arrogant blood sect and the Ewing immortal sect, as both harbored deep grievances against Yunlin immortal sect and Jiang Chengxuan himself. The rise of Jiang Chengxuan was nothing short of a disaster for these two sects. As for the Heavenly Sword immortal sect, though they were not victors either, they were far more willing to accept Yunlin immortal sect's win, since Yunlin would only claim half of the golden immortal insight, leaving the other three sects with their rightful shares. But the premature emergence of the golden immortal insight threatened to ignite a bloody and brutal chaos war. The aftermath would be unpredictable and dangerous. Yun Tian and Yun Dai were obviously struck dumb by the news, feeling as if they'd been struck by lightning. After all the brutal battles and Jiang Chengxuan's lone gamble against the arrogant blood demon immortal, just when they finally saw a glimmer of hope, it was all about to be undone. How could they possibly accept such a result? They were so close. Just a little longer and their Yunlin immortal sect would have become the undisputed victor of the contest, claiming half of the treasure, an amount rivaling the combined gains of the other three sects. Heh heh heh, Yun Shi old fool, it seems heaven does not favor your Yunlin immortal sect. Let's see if you can still laugh now. Suddenly, even the fierce duel between Ewing Daxian and Yun Shi old man paused in unison. Their expressions twisted instantly. Ewing Daxian mocked with glee, while Yun Shi's face turned ashen. The situation had completely flipped. All of Jiang Chengxuan and his allies' efforts were about to be wiped away. With the contest unfinished, and the golden immortal insight emerging prematurely, neither the arrogant blood sect nor the Ewing immortal sect would accept continuing the contest or acknowledge the inevitable outcome. If they insisted the contest was unresolved, all rules would lose their binding force. Ultimately, the treasure's ownership would revert to an all-out confrontation, where strength and skill would decide everything. Among all present, the first to sense the imminent emergence of the golden immortal insight were undoubtedly Jiang Chengxuan and the arrogant blood demon immortal. After the shockwaves from the collision of the two golden immortal assault treasures, broken heaven light and grim bone scythe, had dispersed, their battleground had been reduced to ruins, shrouded in void and desolation. Shattered light and chilling demonic energy continued to rage, whipping into a fierce storm. Countless stars were shattered into fragments, forming meteor belts that radiated destruction. Sensing the unique fluctuations from the golden immortal insight, both Jiang Chengxuan and the arrogant blood demon immortal ceased fighting. Nothing was more important than this moment. So it happens at such a time. Jiang Chengxuan's expression was weary as he murmured in surprise and solemnity. He knew all too well the consequences that would follow from this treasure's early emergence. Alas, all for nothing. Even with his strong will, Jiang Chengxuan sighed bitterly, feeling a deep sense of helplessness. After fighting tooth and nail, this was the result. HMPH, ha ha ha, what use is strength, it's all in vain. In contrast, the grim-faced arrogant blood demon immortal now broke into a feral grin. He shared Ewing Daxian's stance. Once the treasure emerged, the contest could no longer be mentioned. Though he hadn't been able to suppress Jiang Chengxuan, The latter's futile efforts after all the battles filled him with perverse delight. Who will ultimately prevail is still unknown. Yang Chengxuan furrowed his brows and shot him a cold glance. Without another word, he summoned his immortal power and transformed into a streak of light, darting toward the treasure's location. Seeing Jiang Chengxuan dismiss him so casually, the arrogant blood demon immortal was enraged. Chapter 1831, Golden Immortal Insight, Chaotic Battle 2. At this moment, he didn't choose to continue attacking. Instead, he followed closely behind Jiang Chengxuan, transforming into a streak of demonic light, swirling with dense demonic energy as he pursued. The golden immortal insight was about to emerge, and there was no way he could suppress Jiang Chengxuan in such a short time. All grudges and debts would have to be postponed for now, to be settled when they met again. Ancestor Yun. You've worked hard, young Jiang. It's just a pity that heaven doesn't cooperate. In the blink of an eye, both sides had already returned to their original positions, gathering once again around the constantly shifting and ethereal star. Old Yunxi saw Jiang Chengxuan return safely and nodded with relief, offering comforting words. Yes, it's a pity. Taoist Jiang, so brave and fearless, accomplished such great merit yet. Following that, Yun Tian and Yun Dai also chimed in, affirming Jiang Chengxuan's merits with concern, hoping he would not be discouraged. It's indeed a pity, but it doesn't matter. We all did our best. Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan understood their intentions and calmly replied. Seeing this, old Yunxi and Yun Tian Yun Dai nodded, breathing a sigh of relief. Although they all knew Jiang Chengxuan's steady temperament, this contest had cost him dearly, and in the face of failure, some dissatisfaction was inevitable. But seeing his calm expression, they knew his mindset was unaffected. All right, in the upcoming free-for-all, prioritize self-preservation. If there's a chance, seize the golden immortal insight. At this, old Yunxi turned and instructed Jiang Chengxuan and the others. The three nodded together, feeling the atmosphere suddenly tense. Not far away, the star formed by the golden immortal insight was shifting more violently than ever, changing shapes millions of times per second. Layer upon layer of mysterious radiance rippled forth, shimmering brilliantly. The ancient, time-worn aura almost filled the surrounding heavens and earth, causing various anomalies to flicker. The sealing power that originally bound it gradually dissolved into countless light particles that scattered and floated into the endless deep space, forming a mysterious path of light. The seal is about to break. Prepare to strike. I need not explain how precious this golden immortal insight is. By all means, take the treasure no matter the cost. Each transformation undoubtedly made the assembled immortals more solemn. Unconsciously, all had raised their auras to the utmost, focused and motionless, waiting. Led by 4 golden immortals, the various sects each took a position, their oppressive presence stabilizing the space. Layers upon layers of Tao rules intertwined, stirring hidden thunder and flames. Rumble! Until a moment came when, in the void, a roar like a mountain collapsing and the earth cracking exploded, resonating into everyone's consciousness, stirring up violent waves. At the very center of the immortal standoff, the ethereal star suddenly burst forth with dazzling brilliance. A terrifying force surged simultaneously toward the top and bottom of deep space. Within this universe, forming a visible pillar of light at breathtaking speed. In an instant, all eyes gleamed sharply, their fighting spirit ignited fiercely. They all knew this was the last residual power of the sealing force on the golden immortal insight. Next moment, as expected, the dazzling light pillar dispersed, and a terrifying explosion erupted like a supernova. The ethereal, shifting star shattered instantly, breaking into 3 groups of light of various sizes, flying off in different directions through deep space. Boom, boom, boom. In a flash, old Yunxi, the bloodlust demon immortal, the sword immortal, and the ghostwalk immortal all struck simultaneously. Golden immortal might shook heaven and earth, each manifesting a small universe in space, with their immortal powers rising, scorching the star sea. As if by tacit understanding, the 4 divided into 2 pairs, flying toward the 2 largest insight light groups, crossing countless voids and light curtains. Those were the 2 largest portions of the golden immortal insight, occupying nearly half the size of the original ethereal star. Old Yunxi, you bastard! Bloodlust demon, get lost! Here, old Yunxi and the bloodlust demon immortal rushed toward the same location and crossed paths in an instant. Like old enemies forced together, they roared and unleashed their golden immortal powers without restraint. Rumble! A terrifying heavenly light exploded, illuminating a dark corner of deep space. Two golden immortal universes collided and swallowed each other, stirring endless huge waves and destructive thunder. Facing the nearby golden immortal insight, neither held back, unleashing their full strength. Moreover, the ownership of this treasure could very likely decide the future grudges between Yunlin sect and Bloodlust sect. Sinister Bone Scythe, sacrifice. Cloud Moon Purple Extreme Mace, sacrifice. Signaling their golden immortal power clash, both the Bloodlust demon and Old Yunshi did not retreat. They immediately summoned their respective signature golden immortal treasures, activating their might. Old Yunshi's immortal treasure was a large mace, like a miniature pagoda forged from colored glaze. Inlaid with countless purple moon-like immortal crystals, mysterious totems flowing like a star map. As immense immortal power poured in, the mace blazed, purple light surging. The stars embedded connected like a string of 9 jewels, terrifying beyond measure. No sooner said than done. The Bloodlust demon immortal unleashed the power of the sinister bone scythe. Cutting through the void, clashing with Old Yunshi's Cloud Moon Purple Extreme Mace. In an instant, the power of the two offensive golden immortal treasures was unleashed without reservation. Swallowing half of deep space, whipping up a 100-mile storm, shattering countless stars. The two fought fiercely while chasing the continuously fleeing golden immortal insight. Everywhere they passed, explosions and rumbles followed, purple and demonic light devouring each other, forming a strange river. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Sword Immortal and Ghostwalk Immortal had no words. Silent, already locked in fierce combat. With a strange humming sound, behind the Ghostwalk Immortal, his underworld universe swelled, devouring heaven and earth, enveloping everything in a dim and eerie blue-green haze. Here, he employed the Ghostwalk great art, transforming completely into an invisible specter, instantly shaking off the Sword Immortal, chasing after the largest golden immortal insight cluster. In the blink of an eye, with astonishing speed, he nearly caught up. Eyes cold and burning, eager to claim it as his own. But then another strange humming sounded behind him. The Sword Immortal's gaze was stern, as he slowly drew the sword he had been carrying on his back. Space and time seemed to be imprisoned, within the heavens and earth. Only the sword light remained, piercing millions of miles of deep space. That terrifying sword intent surpassed light, breaking all shackles, surpassing all. It slashed toward the Ghostwalk Immortal's figure. This sword was the Sword Immortal's signature weapon, named Life-Severing. Not only because it could kill countless enemies and reap lives, but it could even sever fate itself, defying the heavens. The sword was unsheathed, sending a chill down Ghostwalk Immortal's spine. Despite his speed, facing this supreme sword light, he couldn't help but clench his eyes in pain. Almost instinctively, he immediately activated his divine ability, completely merging into the underworld realm, just barely avoiding this attack by a hair's breadth. In that instant, he saw a faint, thin line of light slash through, cutting deep space. Wherever it passed, even the light dots were neatly severed. Damn it! He was annoyed and frustrated at being assigned to compete for the golden immortal insight against the Sword Immortal. But this was decided in an instant, something he couldn't choose. Though the 4 factions didn't get along, there were natural allies among them. Like Old Yunshi and the Sword Immortal, when conditions allowed, they would instinctively avoid each other, not wanting to kill each other unnecessarily. Chapter 1832, All-Out Battle begins. The massive star, condensed from the countless years of insight by the ancient golden immortals, instantly broke free from its sealing restriction. It shattered into 3 fragments, scattering radiant light and profound mysterious energy that flooded the entire deep space, illuminating every corner of darkness with immortal brilliance. Following the 2 largest fragments of the golden immortal insight, 4 golden immortals unleashed astonishing combat power. Each exerted their strongest might, suppressing their opponents, all vying to seize the treasure. This golden immortal insight was incredibly precious to each of them. It could very well be the key to pushing through the mid-stage of golden immortal cultivation. Such an opportunity was rarer than anything else. Therefore, in this battle, no one held back. Every strike was full force, shaking the entire universe. As the 4 golden immortals pursued the fragments across the edge of the universe, In another distant deep space, the third fragment of the golden immortal insight also streaked through the void, emitting a mysterious humming sound. All eyes burned with intense focus, completely drawn to this object. Feeling the profound aura, every immortal sensed a calling deep within their bodies, as if their comprehension of the Tao's principles was intensifying under its influence. Seize the treasure. This belongs to the Ark's blood sect. HMPH. The Ghostwalk Immortal sect will claim this treasure. Everyone back off. In an instant, under this deadly temptation, a fierce battle was about to erupt. With a roar from the Beast Vault Elder and others, chaos instantly erupted. Almost simultaneously, teams from the four immortal sects launched their attacks, vying to claim the treasure. To win this priceless treasure, several warriors from the previous battle who were injured took rare and precious pills, restoring themselves to peak battle strength through the pills' power. In the blink of an eye, the winds and clouds shifted color, and terrifying pillars of immortal energy shot into the sky, tearing through layers of space, shaking the surrounding heavens and earth, stirring countless shattered star fragments. 12 kinds of mysterious celestial phenomena manifested instantly amidst the chaos: immortal peaks, vast seas, clouds rolling and surging. Each sect displayed their unique aura. The Ark's blood sect's demonic energy sweeping through the lingering clouds, the Sword Heaven sect's sword light piercing the skies, the Ghostwalk Immortal sect's ghostly old soil, and the Cloudmist Immortal sect's purple moon aura. For a moment, magnificent phenomena flowed and transformed, erupting into an overwhelmingly powerful flood of immortal energy. There were 12 late-stage profound immortals of great power. A war on this scale could shake the entire ancient realm. Grab whatever you can. In an instant, the fastest to reach the golden immortal insight fragment was undoubtedly the three from the Ghostwalk Immortal sect. They slipped into the ghostly nether realm, revealing their ghost-like forms, evading layers of immortal suppression and quickly arriving near the fragment. Faced with the priceless insight, the three's eyes glowed green, and without hesitation, they reached out to seize it, attempting to directly absorb the insight with their immortal energy. Don't even think about it. Get lost. This isn't something you can meddle with. But in the intense focus of all sects, this reckless move immediately exposed the three to everyone's eyes. In an instant, whether it was Jiang Chengxuan or Yajin Xianzun and the others, they all unleashed their divine powers without hesitation, striking the three ghost-like figures. Countless heavenly swords of various forms contained shocking sword light, easily slicing through space. The overwhelming, violent, sharp intent blotted out the sky and earth, aiming to kill the three. At the same time, Jiang Chengxuan and Yun Tian and Yun Dai also struck mercilessly. Jiang Chengxuan's Teichu Hungmeng sword transformed into a purple-golden heavenly river, unleashing a strike that pierced the stars. Yun Tian and Yun Dai wielded their bloodline powers, summoning a purple moon that shone through the nether realm, opening an abyssal rift, locking down on the three from the Ghostwalk Immortal sect. Even the Ark's blood sect, who previously had some collusion with the Ghostwalk Immortal sect, was merciless at this moment, unleashing sinister magic light that tore through the void to devour them. Damn it! This scene chilled the hearts of the three from the Ghostwalk Immortal sect, their limbs growing cold. They cursed angrily. Facing the three-sided assault, even with the protection of the Ghostwalk method, they dared not hesitate in the slightest. Their immortal energy surged, and they immediately fled, forced to abandon the golden immortal insight fragment. Boom! The next moment, countless torrents of heavenly light swept over the place where they had just been, crushing the space into fragments and leaving only scorched marks. In that fleeting moment, the Sword Heaven sect, Ark's blood sect's three warriors, and Jiang Chengxuan's group simultaneously approached the vicinity of the golden immortal insight. Their eyes met for an instant, all showing fierce battle intent. Almost instantly again, those who had jointly driven off the Ghostwalk Immortal sect turned around and launched attacks on the closest immortals to them. Behind them, the phenomena of the profound realm twisted and shimmered with brilliant light, powerful pressure rising. Their divine powers collided, once again causing deafening roars and thunderfire explosions. Here, Jiang Chengxuan faced Yajin Xianzun and Guangdao Mazan. Whether intentionally or not, these two had saved the most strength during the contest and were now assigned to face their strongest rival, Jiang Chengxuan. Sacred Scripture of Eternal Manifestation, activate. But Jiang Chengxuan had no time to consider his opponent's identities. Seeing the outbreak of the great battle, he chanted the sacred scripture, and golden runes appeared, floating from his profound realm. Chapter 1833, The Chaos of All Sides, Part 2. Ripples spread out in waves, converging into a vast sea of golden stars. Suddenly, a colossal and terrifying sealing force erupted, causing many nearby immortals to feel an overwhelming pressure. Golden stars orbited Xianxia, glowing brilliantly like radiant golden suns. Without hesitation, Xianxia struck out with two palm blows. Instantly, a momentum like a mountain-crushing tidal wave exploded forth. A towering surge of golden fury surged forward, pressing down on Xianxia and the others. Focus on taking down this brat first. If we don't, none of us will obtain the golden immortal insight. Seeing this, the fierce blade demon lord, fully aware of Xianxia's terrifying power, did not dare underestimate him. Blood-colored demonic energy erupted around him as he roared. Hearing this, Xianxia and the other Tianjian sect disciples frowned, reluctant to ally with the arrogant blood sect. Yet in this critical moment, they had no choice but to swallow their pride. If they did not unite against Xianxia, who could fight on par with the arrogant blood demon immortal, none of the sects would have any chance of defeating him and seizing the golden immortal insight. Otherwise, in the chaos, Xianxia would pick them off one by one. Without hesitation, under the blade demon lord's command, Xianxia and the others reluctantly joined forces. 3 Tianjian sect disciples simultaneously summoned their heavenly swords into the void, their blades towering thousands of zhangs high, pointing toward the sky. Some swords were fierce and wild, others swift as lightning, and some moved like thunderclaps. Each sword was imbued with terrifying immortal power and Tao principles, slicing through the void and severing countless stars, crashing down upon Xianxia's incoming golden tidal wave. Blade demon devours heaven. Fears beast's breath. At the same time, the blade demon lord and the 10,000 beasts demon lord infused their divine powers into their attacks. A blood-colored wild blade slashed a sinister abyss in the void, like a bloodthirsty moth swallowing golden light. One rode an ancient bell to control ferocious beasts, unleashing a black tornado that shredded stars and darkened the heavens. Simultaneously, 5 late-stage Xianxian realm experts launched their assaults on Xianxia, their formidable might enough to threaten even golden immortals. Despite facing 5 opponents of equal standing, Xianxia's gaze remained steady and unflinching. He waved his hand in a Taija-like posture, rhythmically moving in the void. Behind him, the golden sea of stars surged with his motion, stirring violent winds and towering waves that shook the void and whipped up 1,000 heaps of snow. Rumble! Xianxia's heavenly sword severed the void as they crashed down, illuminating 100 miles with sharp sword light, cutting through countless golden stars. But the next moment, with Xianxia's swirling movements, another wave of divine power surged up, crashing against the heavenly swords. This was the true meaning of drawing a sword to cut water only makes it flow faster. The endless waves of the eternal sacred scripture crashed relentlessly, thick and impenetrable. The heavenly swords cut through the waves repeatedly but gradually dulled, faintly tainted by the scripture's engraving of sealing power. With each pass through the golden waves, the sword slowed, eventually nearly frozen in place, like rowing upstream. No forward progress meant retreat. The blade demon lord and 10,000 ghost demon lords' attacks barely made a ripple against this sacred power. After twice ascending in power, the eternal sacred scripture could even suppress the arrogant blood demon immortal's demonic aura, let alone these 2. The demon cultivators, Xianxia, wielding the eternal sacred scripture, was their natural bane, the most difficult opponent to face. Rumble! In the void, Xianxia stood unmoving like a mountain, but the violent golden star sea raged on, blasting out Xianxia and the others, heavenly swords away, sealing the arrogant blood sect's demonic energy almost entirely. This awe-inspiring scene forced the arrogant blood sect and Tianjian immortal sect to form a reluctant alliance, silenced by the sheer pressure. Facing Xianxia at his full might, they sensed a tremendous pressure they had never felt during their earlier contests. It was like a vast chasm standing between them, a warning that they must not cross. Good Jiang Taoist. I'll back you up. Amid the chaos, Yun Tian and Yun Dai both felt their blood boil and raised their arms, cheering Xianxia on. No need to get tangled up. Focus on seizing the golden immortal insight. Jiang Chengxuan secretly transmitted to them. Then suddenly, the countless eternal sacred scriptures around him surged violently, shaking the heavens with their power. Jiang Xuanzun and the others felt an immense pressure and hastily summoned their profound energy and immortal treasures to shield themselves, preparing to endure the next assault. Yet to their surprise, Jiang Chengxuan made no attack. Instead, his immortal energy erupted to its peak, and he transformed into a dazzling meteor streaking through the void. His target was none other than the golden immortal insight fragments rushing through deep space. Damn, this brat tricked us. Chase him, don't let him succeed, hold him back. After him. Only now did the Blade Demon Lord and others realize Jiang Chengxuan's move was a feint. His real aim was the insight fragments. But the brief hesitation gave Jiang Chengxuan the chance to unleash his full speed, dashing through layers of void light paths toward the fragments. HMPH, don't forget about us. If we can't get it, you won't either. Suddenly, a layer of eerie blue-green light appeared, sticking to Jiang Chengxuan like a malignant growth. In moments, it caught up to him. A cold, deathly voice echoed as a deathly ghostly claw burst forth, blotting out the sky, reaching to seize Jiang Chengxuan. At the same time, several other dark but powerful immortal energies bombarded Jiang Chengxuan from tricky angles. Among them, 3 ghost-like figures materialized, the same ones from the Ghost Walk immortal sect who had been driven off earlier. After that perilous encounter, they dared not act rashly and had retreated into the netherworld, waiting for another chance. Though now was not their moment to seize the treasure, they could not allow Jiang Chengxuan to snatch the golden immortal insight. At this critical moment, they launched an ambush to sabotage his plan. Jiang Chengxuan's heart tightened, his brow furrowed, and his eyes gleamed with fierce coldness. Yet faced with the assault of these 3 Ghost Walk immortal sect elders, he neither dodged nor fled. Unwavering, he pressed forward toward the golden immortal insight. HMPH, foolish to disrespect us so. Reckless fools. The 3 dark immortal lords snarled angrily. But Jiang Chengxuan was no reckless fool. As their attacks neared, he triggered a surge of primal power within his realm. 4 immortal peaks etched with ancient runes rose abruptly, unleashing a vast, archaic might. Simultaneously, a divine lotus bloomed, its 9-colored petals glowing with radiant light. Endless immortal energy flooded Jiang Chengxuan's realm, filling every inch with power. The combined blessing of the primal runes and the 9 wonders Bodhi lotus instantly enveloped Jiang Chengxuan in a translucent sphere of light. Its mysterious aura continuously spun, isolating him from the surrounding void and storm. Only then did the Ghost Walk immortal sect's attacks land upon his location. Boom! The space within 100 miles twisted violently. Immortal light tore through the void, triggering a cascade of rumbles and fractures and swirling chaotic energies. Chapter 1834, Wits and Courage Trapping the Treasure 1. The sudden ambush by the 3 from the Yuing immortal sect threw Jiang Chengxuan into a chaotic explosion. Waves of deadly energy surged wildly, space shattered fragment by fragment, creating a shockingly intense scene. Though Yuan Xuanzun and the others were no match for Jiang Chengxuan, all 3 were still late-stage Xianxian cultivators. Their combined power was terrifying, enough to easily crush immortals of the same realm. Taoist Young, ghosts of the Yuing immortal sect, I'll fight you to the death. Seeing Jiang Chengxuan's figure vanish into the fiery blaze and chaotic currents, Yun Tian and Yun Dai shouted across the void, both shocked and enraged. Ignoring all else, they unleashed their immortal energy, causing purple moons to ascend as they charged forward to rescue Jiang Chengxuan. In their urgency, both exploded with extraordinary power, carrying torrents of purple flood-like energy that shook the ghostly netherworld realm the Yuing trio had summoned. HMPH, you're asking for death. Do you really think we fear you? Yet the 3 from Yuing immortal sect stood fearless against Yun Tian and Yun Dai's assault. They held the numerical advantage and relied on the Yuing great technique to move freely at will. As Yun Tian and Yun Dai's bloodshot eyes neared, the 3 summoned vast, sky-covering ghostly claws formed from their netherworld power, both real and illusory, smashing through the chaos straight at their opponents. Boom! The full-force clash erupted at one point, purple moonlight soaring into the sky, netherfire blazing fiercely, stirring an even more terrifying chaotic vortex that ravaged the deep space for miles. But at that very moment, A flash of golden light suddenly burst from within the turbulent currents, streaking like a comet over everyone. Huh? What's happening? The scene stunned both the attacking Yun Tian and Yun Dai, and the three from Yuing immortal sect, who all instantly ceased their furious energy. It's him, he's alive. Damn it, we've been tricked by that brat. The Yuing sect's three elders quickly noticed the anomaly, their faces turning stone cold. Within the streak of golden light was a familiar aura and figure. If it wasn't Jiang Chengxuan, then who else could it be? Ha, three fools trying to block Taoist Jiang. Looks like you're the ones overestimating yourselves. Yun Tian and Yun Dai, initially shocked, soon burst into laughter upon seeing Jiang Chengxuan safe and sound. Their earlier worries turned out to be groundless. Chase after him, what are you waiting for? Don't let him gain that golden immortal insight, stop him. Nearby, members of the Huangzu sect and Tianjin immortal sect had just arrived. Seeing the stunned Yuing trio, they roared angrily to rouse them. At this point, Jiang Chengxuan was already speeding away, leaving everyone far behind. The only way to stop him was with the Yuing Great Technique. Though they resented the Yuing trio, the Huangzu group had no choice but to cooperate. Yuing Great Technique, pursue through the 10,000 miles of souls. Realizing the urgency, Yuan Xuanzun and the others immediately gathered their immortal power and vanished into the void with the Yuing Great Technique. If Jiang Chengxuan, whose combat strength rivaled a golden immortal, secured that insight first, they'd never get a chance to retrieve it. Don't think you can escape, stay where you are. HMPH trying to leave didn't ask us first. But at this critical moment, Yun Tian and Yun Dai suddenly struck again. Just as the Yuing trio was about to vanish into ghosts, the two once more called upon their immortal energy, summoning two massive purple moons ablaze with fierce light. In an instant, blinding purple radiance engulfed the surroundings, triggering a cataclysmic distortion like an earthquake. Damn you, you're courting death. The Yuing trio's vanishing forms were forced back into visibility, the netherworld realm roiling wildly and blocking their escape technique. This bought Jiang Chengxuan precious time, enraging the Yuing elders who cursed Yun Tian and Yun Dai with deadly hatred. Barking mad dogs, you think I fear you. Yet, as late-stage Xianxian elders of golden immortal level forces, Yuan Xuanzun and the others were hardly intimidated. They retorted fiercely, unafraid, hoping to hold off their foes just long enough for Jiang Chengxuan. You two handle these old bastards, let us deal with Jiang Chengxuan. Stopping Jiang Chengxuan is priority, no dawdling. At this, Guangdao Demon Lord and Wanggu Demon Lord descended, blocking Yun Tian and Yun Dai's path, addressing the Yuing trio. They exchanged glances, weighing the situation, and without further argument, resumed their use of the Yuing Great Technique. Chapter 1835, Wits and Courage Trapping the Treasure. Not a chance. Seeing this, Yun Tian and Yun Dai naturally tried to block them, unleashing the power of the purple moonlight and summoning their immortal treasures. But the Wild Blade Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord had anticipated this and struck first, rushing to intercept them. Your opponents are us old men. HMPH, scum from the arrogant blood sect, a bunch of losers. Immediately, the two sides clashed like bitter enemies meeting, eyes blazing with hatred, sparing no mercy. The purple moon treasure seal suppressed the void as a brilliant moon-shaped blade tore through the darkness, cutting straight toward the Wild Blade Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord. In response, one Demon Lord wielded a demonic blade, slashing a blood-red abyss, while the other raised a soul banner, summoning countless fierce ghosts to devour souls, crashing headlong into their foes. Boom! Without hesitation, the four of them became entangled in fierce battle, unleashing a storm of demonic energy and raging purple moonlight that covered hundreds of miles, thunder roaring endlessly. Buzz! Taking advantage of the distraction caused by the Wild Blade Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord, the three elders of the Shadow Dark Profound sect finally unleashed their ghost walk technique. A humming sound arose as the three merged into the void, silently and swiftly traversing hundreds of miles of deep space in pursuit of Jiang Chengxuan. However, after so many delays, Jiang Chengxuan had already distanced himself far beyond everyone else, and was now very close to the fragment of the golden immortal enlightenment. Before the barrier formed by the 10,000 world manifest sacred scriptures, the scattered glimmers of enlightenment light drifted down like snow, leaving a faint shimmering path. What a refined essence of enlightenment! Surrounded by this mysterious aura, Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but marvel, his eyes burning bright. Even being this close to the golden immortal enlightenment fragment activated his own Tao laws, sharpening his awareness until it felt as if he understood all things. Though this piece of golden immortal enlightenment was much smaller than the two fragments being chased by the golden immortals, less than half their size, if he could absorb it directly, it would greatly increase his chances of breaking through to the golden immortal realm. Come to me. Time passed agonizingly slowly as Jiang Chengxuan approached the fragment. Without hesitation, his aura suddenly surged as the 9 mystical Bodhi Lotus lantern powered up with full force. In an instant, the 10,000 world manifest sacred scriptures, which had formed a protective barrier around him, began to churn violently. Under his will, they wove into a magnificent net of light. With Jiang Chengxuan's speed skyrocketing, he moved directly over the fragment. Like a heavenly and earthly web, the net rapidly expanded, engulfing the fragment of golden immortal enlightenment. The powerful sealing force of the 10,000 world manifest sacred scriptures affected space and time alike, causing the fragment to slow and become sluggish. Under Jiang Chengxuan's exquisite control, the net wrapped around the fragment perfectly, as if he were casting a giant net to capture a golden comet. The comet was as large as a small hill, but in Jiang Chengxuan's hands and within the net, it was firmly held, visibly slowing down. A divine radiance flickered around it, sometimes surging brightly, illuminating the depths of space. Thread-like chains of light suppressed the fragment's dissipating aura little by little. Bring it in. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes sharpened as he cleared his mind and unleashed all his immortal power, standing as if holding up the heavens, pulling the giant net tightly. Boom! A thunderous roar echoed, like rapid drumbeats. The void beneath Jiang Chengxuan's feet warped, ripples of spatial waves spreading out and shaking heaven and earth. Under such terrifying power, the comet-like fragment trembled and immediately halted, hovering in place and spinning, unable to break free from the sealing power of the 10,000 world manifest sacred scriptures. At this critical moment, it was almost certain that if Jiang Chengxuan gained just a little more time, he would be able to fully absorb the golden immortal enlightenment. Don't think you'll succeed. This golden immortal enlightenment doesn't belong to you. Delusional brat, don't get cocky. But just when all seemed on the brink, a faint blue-green shadow suddenly appeared, accompanied by angry shouts. The 3 elders of the Shadow Dark Profound sect reappeared. Thanks to the ghost walk technique, they had caught up with Jiang Chengxuan at this crucial moment, managing to intervene just as he was about to claim the fragment. Seeing the net of the 10,000 world manifest sacred scriptures already trapping the fragment, their pupils constricted sharply, murderous intent erupting. Without hesitation, they unleashed their netherworld power, summoning vast flows of shadowy heavenly light from behind, charging fiercely toward Jiang Chengxuan's position. They disregarded the fragment entirely, focusing only on pushing Jiang Chengxuan back, hoping to free the fragment from his control. Due to a twist of fate, the net woven by the 10,000 world manifest sacred scriptures was only capable of holding the fragment. It could not aid Jiang Chengxuan in combat. Most of Jiang Chengxuan's power had been poured into restraining the fragment, leaving him at a disadvantage. The Shadow Dark Profound sect's 3 elders realized this perfectly and immediately surged their netherworld power again, faces twisted with ferocity, preparing to deliver a killing blow. HMPH. However, Jiang Chengxuan had anticipated every possible scenario, breaking away from pursuers or being caught, and was fully prepared. Facing this well-timed strike, he responded swiftly, casually tossing out an immortal treasure. It was a crimson-glazed talisman plate, engraved with 9 dragons circling the sun, radiating an intensely fierce and scorching aura. In an instant, under Jiang Chengxuan's activation, the talisman swelled rapidly into a crimson realm, like a blazing red sun, enveloping the 3 elders of the Shadow Dark Profound sect. Roar! Dragon roars echoed, streams of departing fire flying, transforming into hundreds of fiery immortal dragons, all lunging to engulf the 3 elders. This was one of the treasures obtained earlier in the ancient golden immortal grotto, the 9-dragon departing fire formation. Previously, the 3 demon lords of the arrogant blood sect had used it to trap Yun Tian and Yun Dai, demonstrating its formidable power. Now Jiang Chengxuan, used it to trap the three elders of the Shadow Dark Profound sect. Boom! For a time, thousands of departing fire immortal dragons covered the sky, clashing with the elders' assault. The entire deep space erupted in towering flames. Departing fire surged upward, scorching heaven and earth, spreading endlessly. The scorching downforce was so intense it could even melt space itself. Waves of aftershocks continuously struck the nine-dragon departing fire formation, shaking it but not destroying it, only causing sparks to fly. Clearly, with Jiang Chengxuan's 9 mystical Bodhi Lotus Lantern empowering it, the formation had become even more unbreakable. Even the 3 elders of the Shadow Dark Profound sect could not easily shatter it. Damn, what kind of formation is this? Hurry and break the formation. Don't give him a chance to absorb the golden immortal enlightenment. Realizing the danger, the 3 elders knew the formation might not threaten them directly, but it was enough to stall them. Meanwhile, Jiang Chengxuan ignored their presence completely. Right before their eyes, he turned and resumed drawing the net tighter, slowly pulling the fragment of golden immortal enlightenment toward himself. This scene naturally infuriated the 3 elders of the Shadow Dark Profound sect, grinding their teeth in rage. Chapter 1836, 10,000 Swords Return to Heaven, the 2 Sects, Encirclement and Assault Part 1. As if forgetting about the 3 from Yuing Immortal Sect, Jiang Chengxuan focused all his attention, channeling every ounce of his strength into pulling the sealing formation in his hands. The fragment of golden immortal insight, no larger than a meteor, was dragged inch by inch toward him, its dazzling radiance flickering like a living breath, subtly resonating with the rhythms of heaven and earth. With power comparable to that of a golden immortal, Jiang Chengxuan needed little time to draw back the fragment. The eternal manifest scripture circulated around him, with over half of its power returning to his side. The fragment of the golden immortal insight was now within reach, and even Jiang Chengxuan's resolute heart could not help but quicken its pace. Break the formation, stop him at all costs. The 3 dark profound reverence from Yuing Immortal Sect, their eyes bloodshot with desperation, watched Jiang Chengxuan's every move as if possessed. Trapped within the 9-dragon leaving fire formation, they unleashed their full immortal power, summoning various celestial treasures in a desperate attempt to shatter the scorching heavenly dome. With thunderous roars, the 3 unleashed a storm of netherworld energy that tangled violently with the sea of leaving fire, shaking heaven and earth with a deafening roar that made the void itself tremble. Yet despite this, countless leaving fire immortal dragons continued to howl and circle within the formation, wave after wave crushing down on them and suppressing their power. Though the formation's strength was being consumed at a staggering rate, it would not collapse anytime soon. It's over, all is lost, the 3 dark profound reverence muttered in despair. If the golden immortal insight fell into Jiang Chengxuan's hands, there was no chance to reclaim it. Stop, release the golden immortal insight. But just as Jiang Chengxuan's hand was about to touch the fragment, a sudden light burst forth from the distant deep space. The disciples of the Heavenly Sword Immortal Sect finally arrived. Humming sounds filled the air as they sized up the scene from afar, witnessing Jiang Chengxuan's attempt to seize the fragment. Without hesitation, several of them activated their divine abilities, launching brilliant heavenly swords through the void. These razor-sharp heavenly swords tore through the darkness, leaving clear trails of light, carrying an overwhelming aura of primal laws and fierce power. They shot toward Jiang Chengxuan in an instant. Among them were the explosive swords of Lai Jian Reverent and the steady, masterful blades of Ao Jian Reverent. Though they admired Jiang Chengxuan's strength and character during their contest, when it came to competing for immortal treasures, they showed no mercy. For the future of their sect, personal feelings could not interfere. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes hardened without a trace of hesitation. Calmly, he withdrew most of the eternal manifest scripture, letting it swirl under his control. At the critical moment, it coalesced into a golden light screen before him. Boom! The heavenly swords of the 3 Heavenly Sword Immortal Sect disciples struck the golden barrier with overwhelming force, triggering an earth-shaking roar. The sharp light waves exploded, and violent sword intent ravaged the void, cleaving through layers of chaos. Even the divine eternal manifest scripture shattered under this ferocious assault, scattering into countless points of light. This was a combined strike by 3 powerful golden immortals of the Heavenly Sword Sect, whose methods were renowned for their offensive strength among the sects. Thus, when facing the attack of Ao Jian Reverent and the others, Jiang Chengxuan could no longer easily dispel their strike as he had against the three from Yuing sect. When the chaotic turbulence subsided, Jiang Chengxuan was forced to retreat several steps, the golden scripture-formed dome riddled with cracks from the heavenly swords. Fortunately, thanks to the power of the primordial runes and the nine-wonder Bodhi lotus lamp, Jiang Chengxuan's supreme cultivation base allowed him to avoid serious injury in this exchange. In the next moment, led by Awaken Reverend, the three Heavenly Sword sect disciples stepped fully onto the battlefield. The atmosphere instantly grew tense. The warriors exchanged serious gazes, poised and wordless in silent confrontation with Jiang Chengxuan. "Few just in time," one whispered. "As long as we break the formation, then we'll see how he responds." Seeing this, the three trapped dark profound reverence inside the nine-dragon leaving fire formation sighed with relief. The arrival of the Heavenly Sword sect's reinforcements would undoubtedly stop Jiang Chengxuan from further absorbing the golden immortal insight fragments. Once they broke the formation, the six of them could encircle Jiang Chengxuan together, and no matter how strong he was, he would be hard-pressed. Suddenly, the battlefield fell silent. Jiang Chengxuan gripped the golden immortal insight fragment with one hand and faced off against Awaken Reverend and his companions. Without warning, both sides burst forth simultaneously, reigniting the fierce battle. A surge of purple-gold light rivers flowed backward as Jiang Chengxuan summoned the primordial Hengmeng sword. Instantly, countless eternal manifest scriptures adhered to its blade, revealing its ultimate form. In response, Awaken Reverend and the others drew their heavenly swords in unison, preparing to strike. Chapter 1837. 10,000 Swords Return to the Heavens. Two Sects Besiege Part 2. Sharp sword intent crisscrossed the skies like a meteor shower descending upon the world. In an instant, the deep darkness of the void was pierced by blinding sword light, slicing through and releasing terrifying bolts of lightning. Within the blink of an eye, the figures of the combatants moved even faster than the sword light. Before anyone could see clearly, they had already exchanged blows hundreds of times, unleashing a storm of unimaginable magnitude. Wielding the primordial chaos sword, Jiang Chengxuan once again displayed an overwhelming dominance, facing the siege of three from the Heavenly Sword immortal sect alone, yet holding his ground without the slightest disadvantage. This caused the expressions of the three attackers, led by the proud sword venerable, to grow more solemn. Their immortal power surged with even greater fury, not daring to underestimate their foe. Though 3 against 1, they fought with full strength and caution. They knew all too well that Jiang Chengxuan was no ordinary opponent. Even though they held a numerical advantage, it did not guarantee any actual superiority in battle. After all, Jiang Chengxuan had overcome such odds before, and with ease. He had done so in front of countless spectators, shocking the world with his terrifying might. As the battle intensified, the pressure on the three from the Heavenly Sword immortal sect increased significantly. The powerful strength they had always taken pride in now felt feeble in the face of Jiang Chengxuan's immense might. Fortunately, Jiang Chengxuan was simultaneously channeling comprehension from a golden immortal insight fragment, forcing his movement to remain confined to a relatively small area. This gave the Heavenly Sword immortal sect the chance to spot a weakness. Relying on the keen coordination and instinct they had honed together in their sect, the three didn't fight head-on. Instead, they engaged in a fighting retreat, gradually encircling Jiang Chengxuan completely. Formed the 10,000 swords returned to the Heaven Sword formation. Once Jiang Chengxuan was surrounded, the proud sword venerable gave the command. The trio's auras abruptly changed, each taking a designated position and unleashing their divine arts. In that instant, a vision of 3 realms filled with towering sword peaks and icy glints appeared in the heavens. Within those realms, even the breeze, the grass, and the stones radiated with infinite sword intent. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Chengxuan seemed to fall into a world entirely composed of sword intent. Every inch of space around him trembled with piercing sword cries. Even Jiang Chengxuan's expression grew grave. This formation was clearly a trump card of the Heavenly Sword immortal sect, a secret weapon of their heritage. Its power neared the golden immortal realm, and was even more formidable than the 9 dragons' fiery array. Unlike the latter, which relied on a formation plate, this 10,000 swords returned to the heavens required 3 experts deeply versed in the sect's sword path to execute properly. Its requirements were much harsher. 10,000 swords returned to the heavens / In a flash, the winds and clouds changed color. Countless strands of sword intent coalesced into a heart-stopping realm. Once the formation was fully activated, the three did not hesitate. They unleashed its full power. Facing an enemy as terrifying as Jiang Chengxuan, this was the respect he deserved. Before Jiang Chengxuan's eyes, countless sword lights gathered into a galactic river descending from the heavens, shimmering and dazzling. With the momentum of a collapsing world in a falling sky, the strike came down to destroy everything. Each strand of sword intent may not have been terrifying on its own, but together, they rivaled the power of a golden immortal's divine ability. This was not a simple sum of parts. Within the formation, the sword intents complemented each other on a level of Tao, just like the merging of yin and yang could give birth to all things. Good, quick, slash that brat apart. Watch the artifacts, don't damage them, fools. Even the three elders from the Ghostwalk Immortal sect, still struggling within the 9 dragons' fiery array against the fire dragon spirit, could not help but shout in excitement, expressions ferocious. Trapped by the array and unable to escape due to Jiang Chengxuan's powerful immortal essence, they now pinned all hope on the Heavenly Sword Immortal sect. Well then, if that's the case, allow me to return the favor. Yet in the face of such a devastating assault, sensing the breath of death, Jiang Chengxuan remained calm, his tone serene. Hearing this, the proud sword venerable and the others' expressions changed, a chill flashing through their eyes. But the bow had already been drawn. There was no turning back. Though they were wary of Jiang Chengxuan's hidden cards, they had no choice but to press forward, pouring every ounce of their immortal power into the formation and praying it would be enough to suppress him. Buzz! Just then, faster than thought itself, Jiang Chengxuan waved his hand. From deep within the void, 2 strands of celestial light emerged and intertwined in the air, before converging into his palm, forming a scroll glowing with interwoven pale blue and ghostly white light. It was the ruined heaven scroll, Jiang Chengxuan's most fearsome trump card. All forces strike now. Seeing the scroll appear, the proud sword venerable's heart trembled. Without hesitation, he shouted in alarm. They had already witnessed the horrifying might of this golden immortal artifact during Jiang Chengxuan's battle against the blood-fiend demon immortal. Its power was not to be underestimated. Immediately, the other two did the same, pouring all of their immortal energy into the formation without holding back. Ruined Heaven Scroll activate. With a blank expression, Jiang Chengxuan infused his immense immortal essence into the scroll and unfurled it toward the incoming galaxy of sword intent. Boom! At that moment, a towering pillar of 9-colored light erupted, piercing through the heavens. Wherever it passed, the void shattered inch by inch. Even the sword intent was torn apart, leaving a massive rift. A mystic gate manifested at the heart of the sword intent realm, shining with radiant brilliance. As the ruined heaven scroll slowly opened, the gate revealed what lay behind, a ruined cosmos. Stars scattered, heavenly light flickering, and twisted astral rivers interweaving to form a vast tree-like totem rooted among the stars. Just as the countless strands of sword intent from the 10,000 swords returned to the heavens formation surged forth, a boundless flood of ruined heaven's light burst from the astral totem and crashed head-on into them. Boom! 2 powers on the level of golden immortals collided in an instant, triggering a deafening explosion. The blinding light engulfed hundreds of miles of void. Each sword light fell like rain, clashing against the ruined heaven's light in a storm of annihilation, devouring and grinding each other away. The aura of destruction was so overwhelming that even the 3 Ghostwalk Immortal sect elders trapped within the array felt their hearts tremble in fear, subconsciously drawing sharp breaths. Thankfully, Jiang Chengxuan wasn't paying attention to them. Otherwise, if the ruined heaven scroll had targeted them instead, they'd have no choice but to flee with heavy injuries, if they survived at all. Now the formation's power is weakening. This is our chance. That brat is too greedy. He's holding onto that golden immortal insight fragment while maintaining the formation to trap us. There's no way that scroll can unleash its full power. Break the formation, then lie in wait, we will bring him down. Still, these were experienced grand elders of an immortal sect. Though shocked by the battle before them, they quickly regained their composure and sensed an opportunity. With his power divided across too many fronts, even with the 9-petaled Bodhi lamp supporting him, Jiang Chengxuan could not sustain everything at once. Now, the 9 dragons' fiery array had reached its weakest state. The 3 Ghostwalk Immortal sect elders erupted together, summoning the netherworld realm behind them, forming massive ghostly claws that struck violently against the array. Indeed, the counterforce had significantly weakened. Large sections of the fiery array were suppressed and extinguished. When the nether energy struck the formation, numerous cracks began to appear. Now, their eyes flashed. Without hesitation, they unleashed wave after wave of divine techniques. The cracks on the 9 dragons' fiery array multiplied rapidly, and with the shockwaves from the external clash reverberating through the battlefield, the formation was finally shattered. Chapter 1838, Claiming the Treasure, All Parties in Dilemma, Part 1. Rumble, roar. Amid the terrifying storm within the abyssal pit, deafening explosions echoed continuously, tearing apart hundreds of miles in all directions, shattering stars and turning them into vast fields of meteors. At the same time, blazing divine fire soared into the sky, stirring chaotic turbulence and primordial chaos, melting and warping the very fabric of space, unleashing a downpour of fire that blotted out the heavens. Accompanied by a dragon's roar, the figures of the dark void profound venerable and his 2 companions burst forth from behind the blazing curtain of flame, stirring a gust of nether winds as they reappeared in the deep void. Haha, we're finally out. Damn that Jiang Chengshuan, let's see how arrogant you can be now. Where is that bastard? We must suppress him quickly and seize the golden immortal insight. For a moment the 3 of them wore ferocious expressions. Their bloodshot eyes gleamed with madness and elation, their voices thunderous, venting all their pent-up fury. Sensing the destructive force left in the wake of Jiang Chengshuan's battle with the proud sword profound venerable and others, their bodies brimmed with surging immortal power, vibrating with anticipation, eager to strike. At this very moment, perhaps, Jiang Chengshuan and the others had suffered mutual injuries in their clash, and their timely escape from the array might just present the perfect opportunity to suppress Jiang Chengshuan and snatch away the fragments of the golden immortal insight. There he is. With hearts full of excitement, the 3 quickly took action. As seconds passed, they soon spotted Jiang Chengshuan's figure. With the violent aftermath of the clash finally dispersing, the void around them was left in tatters. Massive rifts tore through the fabric of space, exposing the deep, lifeless nothingness beyond. Lingering traces of the ruined, heavenly radiance clung to the edges of the void like maggots on bones, burning fiercely, rendering the desolation in all its vivid brutality. And at the far end of everyone's gaze, Jiang Chengshuan still stood tall, though the immortal light shrouding him had clearly dimmed, like the twilight before nightfall. One of his hands still held firm the great net, woven from the everlasting divine manifestation scripture, binding the fragment of the golden immortal insight, preventing its escape. Cough, cough. Across from Jiang Chengshuan, the proud sword profound venerable, and his allies also emerged from the residual energy. Compared to Jiang Chengshuan, they were in an even more miserable state. After that clash of ultimate forces, their immortal robes were torn, hair disheveled, auras wildly unstable, pure chaos. Clearly, even though it was not the full power of the ruined, desolate heaven scroll, it was still far beyond what the proud sword profound venerable's group could handle. In this exchange, their 10,000 swords returned to heaven formation was completely shattered by Jiang Chengshuan, and they themselves suffered heavy backlash, their immortal energies thrown into disarray. A golden immortal's treasure, truly terrifying. Even the 10,000 swords returned to heaven technique couldn't withstand it. For a rare moment, the battlefield fell into silence, giving them a chance to catch their breath. The proud sword profound venerable and the split sword profound venerable exchanged glances, still shaken as they looked toward Jiang Chengshuan. Their eyes flickered, not only with disbelief but also with deep reverence. They knew full well this wasn't even Jiang Chengshuan's full strength. He was still restraining himself. Yet even so, their combined might using the formation was utterly destroyed in one strike. A fact that left them utterly shaken. HMPH, that brat's full of tricks. Even while suppressing the golden immortal insight and facing enemies, we must not underestimate him. Let our 2 sects join forces to suppress him first. We cannot allow him to seize the treasure. At this moment the dark void profound venerable and his group quickly composed themselves, expressions turning grim, stepping through the void to approach the proud sword profound venerable's group. Facing the clearly distrustful eyes of the proud sword profound venerable, The dark void profound venerable spoke with gentle persuasion, trying to strengthen their alliance and convince them to act together against Jiang Chengxuan. Hearing this, the expressions of the proud sword profound venerables group shifted. They glanced coldly at the three from the Ghostwalk immortal sect without replying. As a righteous and ancient sect, they despised the Ghostwalk immortal sect more than any other. Lacking both heritage and morals, practitioners of crooked, dark methods. Deep down, they were extremely unwilling to cooperate with such people. But when they looked again at Jiang Chengxuan, who barely seemed wounded after the battle, the proud sword profound venerables group sighed inwardly with helplessness, and could only nod silently toward the dark void profound venerables group, indicating agreement. Good, now let's see how arrogant that brat can be. Seeing this, the dark void profound venerable declared coldly, eyes sharp as he stared toward Jiang Chengxuan. Their gazes met across the battlefield, each party revealing complex emotions. Heh, it seems our great powers are far more united than the outside world believes. Jiang Chengxuan chuckled calmly in response, his gaze showing not a trace of fear. As if the 6 people from 2 major golden immortal forces before him weren't even worthy opponents. His words made the faces of the proud sword profound venerables group twitch slightly in discomfort, strange awkwardness rising within them. Meanwhile, the dark void profound venerables group remained unfazed, barking coldly. Such a precious treasure and you want to monopolize it, how selfish. Naturally, we must join forces to deal with you. If you know what's good for you, hand it over willingly, and perhaps you'll have a chance to live. With the backing of the 3 from the Heavenly Sword Immortal sect, the Dark Void Profound Venerables group brimmed with confidence. Chapter 1839, Claiming the Treasure, All Sides in Turmoil, Part 2. They refused to believe that, under such overwhelming circumstances, Jiang Chengxuan could still turn the tide. Enough talk. At that moment, the sword sovereign Ao Jian and his group no longer wished to waste time. He addressed the trio from the Yuing Immortal sect bluntly. Immediately after, the sword realm towering with countless blade peaks reappeared between heaven and earth. Radiant sword intent surged forth like a galaxy winding through deep space, radiating a continuous aura of destruction. Good. Seeing their allies already launching attacks impatiently, the trio from the Yuing Immortal sect no longer delayed either. Each of them manifested a realm of netherworld shadow, devouring the surrounding area and transforming into ghostly silhouettes that vanished into the void. Without a doubt, another great battle was imminent. And this time, Jiang Chengxuan would face 6 late-stage profound immortals head-on. Even more perilous was the fact that a portion of his strength was still dedicated to binding the golden immortal insight fragment, placing him under significant constraints. If that's the case, I'll have to go all out. Just as the Heaven Sword Immortal sect and the Yuing Immortal sect members were about to strike, Jiang Chengxuan let out a long breath. His voice was calm and expressionless. That one sentence alone made Ao Jian and the others feel an invisible pressure. No reason, no evidence, just because he was Jiang Chengxuan. Everything he said he did, always, no matter how unbelievable. Buzz. In a flash, Jiang Chengxuan flipped his right hand, releasing a strange wave of energy that rippled through space like water. Amidst the mystical hum and flashes of starlight, a mysterious immortal artifact appeared in his palm. It resembled a compass, crystal-like in texture, vast and unfathomable. Galaxies flowed within, stars spun like a miniature universe. Its aura was magnificent and majestic beyond measure. As this treasure emerged, the entire world seemed to empty out. Invisible auras and energies all gravitated unconsciously toward the star disk. For a moment, the sudden appearance of this unknown artifact shocked all present. None of them had ever seen Jiang Chengxuan use it before, yet its aura was extraordinary, so overwhelming that even the confident among them felt a tremor in their hearts. That single move by Jiang Chengxuan shattered their sense of certainty. Even the boastful Yuing Immortal sect trio faltered slightly, their eyes flickering with hesitation. This sliver of fear bought Jiang Chengxuan just enough time. As the others were still frozen in shock, Jiang Chengxuan wasted no time. He activated the artifact and released it into the air. Buzz. In an instant, the star disk expanded with the wind, transforming into a swirling star vortex. Countless beams of ancient and brilliant starlight shot forth, while an immense suction force burst out, pulling the surrounding chaotic energies into its core. This sudden turn of events startled all 6 opponents. They instinctively retreated several steps, gathering their immortal power in full defense, tension peaking. Yet to their surprise, the star disk did not strike them. Instead, it transformed into a swirling vortex that emitted a starlit path of light, directly enveloping the golden immortal insight fragment. Rumble! In a flash, the immense fragment of golden immortal insight trembled violently. Under the power of this profound artifact, it visibly shrank with astonishing speed. In mere seconds beneath the light of the star disk, the fragment grew hazy, as if drifting further away, eventually vanishing into a swirling mist. No, he's trying to claim the treasure directly. Only then did the Ewing immortal sect trio react. They roared in fury. It became clear that Jiang Chengxuan's treasure was not for offense. It was meant to capture the golden immortal fragment. Stop him now! The Ewing leader's eyes turned crimson as he shouted. The sword sovereign Jian and his companions didn't hesitate. All moved simultaneously. In that instant, countless world-sundering heavenly swords tore through the void, piercing the chaos, brimming with devastating immortal energy. At the same time, the ghostly figures of the Ewing sect trio, seeing Jiang about to seize the treasure, exploded into motion, black shadows darting forward at blinding speed. But as they neared Jiang Chengxuan, they were intercepted by the pressure of the star disk, which shattered the surrounding space. Despite their speed, they couldn't draw any closer. Their ghostly attacks landed on the invisible barrier, shaking the void but achieving nothing. Slash! The next moment, as Jian and his companions, heavenly swords ripped through space and finally broke the barrier. It was too late. Looking closely, they saw the golden immortal insight fragment had already vanished into the depths of space. In its place, Jiang Chengxuan now held the star disk in his hand, with a new golden glow shining from within. A speck of golden starlight flickered gently within its depths. There was no doubt, the golden immortal insight had been fully absorbed by the artifact. Damn it, damn it! The Ewing immortal sect trio went completely mad, roaring in fury. They had chased Jiang Chengxuan all the way here, assembled a coalition, finally found an opening to strike. Only to watch helplessly as he used some unknown artifact to take the treasure right before their eyes. Jian and the other 2 stood stunned, speechless, staring blankly at the scene before them. The golden immortal insight had been their ultimate objective. They had even allied with the Ewing sect for it. And now it was simply gone. Sorry, looks like this treasure already has an owner. At that moment, Jiang Chengxuan chuckled and looked at the group with a calm smile. The star disk in his hand was the golden immortal treasure granted by his system. Though he had not yet fully explored its uses, he had known from the start that it could contain and absorb all kinds of profound phenomena. Even this golden immortal insight, infused with ancient power, could not resist its might, especially when used in tandem with the 10,000 eras manifestation scripture. Brat, hand over the treasure, or we'll make sure you die without a burial. The Ewing trio were driven to the edge, shouting threats with crazed eyes. In response, Jiang Chengxuan rolled his shoulders, his gaze sharpening. He spoke slowly and coldly, if you want it, then come and take it. That domineering aura spread out inch by inch, drenching the battlefield like cold water. Now that he no longer had to maintain the suppression of the golden immortal fragment, Jiang Chengxuan was finally unrestrained. He could unleash his full power. That thought alone chilled the Ewing trio. Even Jian and his 2 allies narrowed their eyes in deep contemplation. At this point, was it still worth fighting Jiang Chengxuan? Without the golden immortal fragment as leverage, taking it from him would be far more difficult than before, perhaps even impossible. HMPH, with the 6 of us we still can't defeat him. Don't hesitate, if we miss this chance we may never get another. Sensing the wavering resolve of the sword sovereign and his allies, the Ewing leader barked harshly, his voice cold and fierce. He couldn't accept retreat, not after rallying 6 late-stage profound immortals. If they backed down now, they'd be nothing more than a joke. Hearing this, Jian and the others furrowed their brows. Though uncertain, the fire of unwillingness still burned silently in their hearts. Chapter 1840, Breaking Without Attacking, a Full-Power Counterattack, Part 1. If we don't act now, there'll be no chance later. Seeing hesitation begin to show in the eyes of the sword sovereigns, the sinister voice of the dark sword sovereign's coaxing rang out again and again. In truth, he was just as anxious. If the Heavenly Sword Immortal sect didn't join in this siege against Jiang Chengxuan, then with only their strength, they wouldn't be able to make the slightest ripple. Considering Jiang Chengxuan's terrifying power, suppressing 3 peak-stage immortal sovereigns was as easy as lifting a hand. No matter how much they hated him, they had to admit this fact. Without the Heavenly Sword Immortal sect's support, just the 3 of them alone would be walking straight into death in Jiang Chengxuan's hands. Let's do it. Things have already come this far. How can we retreat now? At this moment, one of the elders from the Heavenly Sword Immortal sect, standing beside Sovereign Ao Jian and Sovereign Lai Jian, suddenly declared with cold resolve. His words became the final straw that broke the camel's back. Hearing this, Ao Jian and Lai Jian hardened their hearts as if making a firm decision, both nodding slightly. No matter what, just as their fellow elder had said, the situation had reached this point. If they didn't at least try, how could they be reconciled? Good, join forces with us, let's take down this brat. Upon seeing this, the Dark Sword Sovereign and his companions were overjoyed and wasted no time. Without hesitation, they summoned their respective profound realms, instantly unleashing waves of ghostly energy that surged across the sky. In an instant, eerie greenish-blue phenomena swept out. The Dark Sword Sovereign trio transformed into wraith-like phantoms and disappeared into the formless void. Almost immediately, Jiang Chengxuan sensed waves of sharp killing intent closing in. Deathly pressure rushed toward him from multiple directions, locking him down completely. There was no denying it. The dark travel art, a legacy technique of an ancient devil immortal, truly possessed peerless advantages. Executed jointly by the 3 dark sovereigns, it was a masterclass in assassination, combining speed and stealth to their peak. In this moment, even Jiang Chengxuan had to exercise caution. While his frontal combat strength could easily crush these 3, their ghostly assassination techniques made them incredibly difficult to pin down. Compared to earlier battles, it was only now, in this chaotic battlefield, that the dark travel art's true menace shone through. When confined in a narrow space, their abilities were greatly restricted, but now. Today, let us show you the true terror of the dark travel art. Within the void, the voices of the Dark Sword Sovereign and the others oozed killing intent as they growled menacingly. Rumble! But before their words could fully land, eerie ghost force had already taken form, unleashing divine techniques in a flash. Fortunately, Jiang Chengxuan's reaction was just as swift. In the blink of an eye, as their ghost force stormed in from all directions, he released his full power and summoned the eternal saint scripture. In that moment, his aura surged violently, rising to a level comparable to a golden immortal. His immense immortal force distorted the surrounding space like surging waves. Then, brilliant golden runes burst out like crashing waves, freezing midair and forming a vast sea of golden stars. Incomparable restrictive power radiated alongside the dazzling glow, illuminating the world. Every inch of space seemed to be threaded with invisible filaments, layered upon layer to form a sea of constraints. For a moment, the 3 dark sovereigns felt as if they were submerged underwater, immensely pressured and unable to move freely. Their hearts trembled in shock. This was their first time facing Jiang Chengxuan at full strength, and they hadn't expected that he could be even more terrifying than before. The overwhelming restrictive force from his scripture could even suppress the dark travel art to such a degree. In truth, this was because Jiang Chengxuan's eternal saint scripture had undergone its 3rd advancement, stepping into an entirely new realm. Among these 3, one had previously clashed with Jiang Chengxuan at the outer edges of the ancient golden immortal ruins, but at that time, his eternal saint scripture had only advanced once. It couldn't restrain the dark travel art to this extent. Back then, Jiang Chengxuan had to scatter the scripture like chains throughout the sky, using vague sensing to deduce their location. But now, it was completely different. When fully activated, his scripture's power formed a domain where even the dark travel art couldn't escape its restrictive web. And then, in the span of a heartbeat, Jiang Chengxuan's gaze sharpened as he reversed the momentum, taking the initiative to strike. Within this golden sea of stars, he was like a born sovereign. Wielding the primordial chaos sword, Jiang Chengxuan moved fluidly through the bindings of his scripture, as if gliding through water with perfect ease. In this reversal of fortune, the 3 dark sovereigns lost their edge. Their once prized ghostly speed meant nothing within Jiang Chengxuan's domain. Take this. Backed by boundless immortal force, Jiang Chengxuan shot toward the Dark Sword Sovereign like a thunderbolt. With a low shout, he didn't use any unnecessary flair. He simply unleashed a fist. In that moment, the eternal saint scripture surged like a tide, converging with his fist into a fierce torrent. This scene shook the dark sword sovereign to his core, but his own offensive, already in motion, could not be stopped in time. Chapter 1841, Collapse Without Attack, Breaking the Peak, Part 2. At the critical moment, Jiang Chengxuan smoothly retracted the suppressive force of the formation. As a result, the dark void venerable felt the invisible wall before him suddenly vanish, and freedom returned to him. However, Jiang Chengxuan was already right before his eyes. The moment he charged forward, the two collided violently. Rumble! There was no time to react. Jiang Chengxuan's terrifying power erupted instantly. The dark void venerable's eyes bulged in shock. Unable to dodge, he could only grit his teeth and pour all his strength into resisting the blow. Amid the deafening explosion, the entire deep space universe quaked. A brilliant, divine sun manifested out of nowhere. Its destructive power unleashed a mighty storm. Urgh! But in this direct clash, how could the dark void venerable possibly be Jiang Chengxuan's match? Especially with the added might of the ninefold Bodhi lotus lantern bolstering him. From the epicenter of the collision, chaos and turbulent energy surged in all directions. The dark void venerable was sent flying, howling in pain. "You damn wretch! How dare you be so arrogant?" At that moment, two other elders of the Ghost Path Immortal sect arrived behind Jiang Chengxuan. Seeing their comrades sent flying in a single exchange, their faces twisted with fury. Without hesitation, one clawed at his heart, the other at his head. Buzz! Just then, Jiang Chengxuan once again activated the restrictive force of the 10,000 generation manifestation scripture. At the very instant the attacks were about to land, the restriction flared again, halting the two mid-strike. That fleeting moment was all Jiang Chengxuan needed. He turned, eyes sharp as fire, locking onto the two elders. At the same time, large swathes of scripture characters surged through the void like lightning, merging and adhering to his chest and crown, forming a barrier. Boom! The moment the barrier appeared, the two elders' strikes finally landed. Their eerie nether force exploded, tearing through space, unleashing a deafening blast as a destructive aura soared skyward, threatening to devour all. However, the Ghost Path elders felt no joy from this scene. Because from the chaotic aftershocks, they could still sense that divine, sacred power. It hadn't been extinguished. It had merely dimmed slightly. This meant that Jiang Chengxuan had nearly flawlessly neutralized their desperate joint strike and remained completely unscathed. Fast enough, but still not strong enough. Sure enough, just as they feared, Jiang Chengxuan's calm voice emerged from the chaotic vortex. A direct critique of their attack. Hearing this, the two elders wanted to curse him to the heavens, but reason prevailed. They retreated immediately, daring not to linger even a second longer. But how could Jiang Chengxuan let the opportunity slip? Both hands shifted from fists to claws, rending space as he lunged after them. The golden sea of stars behind him flared with sharp, slicing energy at his will. That crushing momentum surged, catching the two Ghost Path elders completely off guard. No! Everyone strike, stop him. In just a few exchanges, the two found themselves in dire peril. Faced with Jiang Chengxuan's pursuit, their eyes turned bloodshot as they hastily summoned their immortal treasures in defense. Jiang Chengxuan showed no mercy. Behind him, within his mysterious inner world, the ninefold Bodhi Lotus Lantern glowed brilliantly, unleashing its peak immortal force, pouring into his body. This strike, he intended to cripple the Ghost Path's combat strength in one blow, ending the battle in a blink. Buzz! But just then, realizing something was wrong, the sword venerable Ao Giant and his comrades arrived in time. The three of them rode their respective heavenly swords, slicing through the raging storm and descending like a celestial river. Boom! In an instant, chaotic sword intent, eerie nether force, and divine scripture power exploded together. Blinding light filled the deep space battlefield, shattering countless stars. This collision, comparable to a true clash between golden immortals, was nothing short of apocalyptic. After all, aside from Jiang Chengxuan, who fought like a golden immortal, there were 5 other late-stage profound immortals unleashing their full might. Neither side held back. One could only imagine the devastation. Moments later, as the dust settled, Jiang Chengxuan stood tall amid golden light, his expression unchanged. In contrast, the surviving elders of the Ghost Path and Sword Heaven sects all appeared grim and silent. This clash had thoroughly reshaped their understanding of Jiang Chengxuan's power, with his full strength unleashed. He was far more terrifying than anyone had anticipated. Even though they struck hastily, all 6 of them had failed to shake Jiang Chengxuan in the slightest. This alone revealed a chasm between them, one numbers alone could not bridge. "Forget it, we give up. He is an enemy we cannot defeat." Sword Venerable Aojian fell silent for a while, eyes flickering before speaking first. The fighting spirit he'd painstakingly built collapsed in an instant. Memories of their first encounter and Jiang Chengxuan's oppressive aura surged in his mind. All his will to fight evaporated. The Rift Sword Venerable said nothing. Another sword sect cultivator was visibly shocked. He had never faced Jiang Chengxuan head-on, and now, watching even the proud Aojian surrender, he was deeply shaken. He wasn't ignorant or suicidal. Seeing his comrades defeated so thoroughly, doubt crept into his heart. And looking toward the Ghost Path elders, ashen-faced and humiliated, and then at the unmoved, cold-eyed Jiang Chengxuan in the distance, he suddenly understood. Then so be it. In the end, he too agreed to withdraw from the alliance targeting Jiang Chengxuan. "You cowards! Spineless traitors!" Naturally, the Ghost Path elders were furious, cursing them with icy hearts. No one could have foreseen it. The alliance that had been so eager to besiege Jiang Chengxuan had collapsed completely after just a few of his blows. The wise decision. As for the sword sect elders retreating to the edge of space, ignoring the Ghost Path's insults, Jiang Chengxuan did not press the attack. Instead, he offered rare praise. From beginning to end, both sides had shown a sliver of restraint, a thread of mutual understanding. But the same could not be said for the Ghost Path elders. With the sword sect out, they were left alone to face Jiang Chengxuan. And Jiang Chengxuan would not simply let them walk away. Even if it was just to set an example, he would cut them down. Not to mention, he and the Ghost Path Immortal sect had old scores to settle. This is hopeless retreat. At last, the Ghost Path elders sensed the breath of death looming. Without the protection of their ghost immortal patriarch, they were in mortal danger. One of them cried out, and in a heartbeat. It was impossible to tell who moved first. Each of them fled, merging into Netherforce like wraiths, attempting to escape. HMPH. But Jiang Chengxuan was already prepared. With a cold snort, he unleashed the 10,000 generation manifestation scripture in full. Before the nether realm could even open, countless scripture characters transformed into chains of light, sealing the surrounding 100 miles completely. The terrifying restriction was so strong, even time itself seemed to freeze. Chapter 1842, Settling the Grudge Part 1. Faced with Jiang Chengxuan's sudden and thunderous assault, the 3 cultivators from the Netherwalk Immortal sect, already devoid of fighting spirit, had no chance of resisting. Beneath the endless golden sea of stars, they were like tiny drifting boats, about to capsize beneath the crashing waves. The netherworld realms conjured by the 3 were frozen inch by inch. The vast seals descended like a plague upon the bones, relentlessly unraveling their defenses, trapping them within a deep abyss of despair. "No, I will never fall here. Once our patriarch returns, you will die without a burial." In the final moment before the destructive immortal force crashed down, the trio of Netherwalk Immortal sect let out a last roar. Their eyes bloodshot, they poured out all their power in a desperate attempt to resist. One of them was the first to bear the brunt. His defenses shattered instantly under the sacred might of the 10,000 eras manifested scripture. His inner world was riddled with cracks, crumbling apart, twisted beyond recognition like a piece of paper crushed into a ball. The terrifying divine power rampaged wildly within his inner world, utterly unstoppable. Waves of backlash coursed through his shattered realm, striking his physical body. The pain was excruciating beyond belief. He screamed, a twisted, inhuman howl. This horrific scene chilled the hearts of the remaining 2 Netherwalk cultivators, leaving them trembling with fear. Even proud Sword Venerable and the others, who had already chosen to retreat, felt their skin crawl and a deep sense of dread settle over them. At the same time, a tinge of relief rose within them. Thankfully, at the critical moment, reason had triumphed over desire. They had chosen not to continue opposing Jiang Chengxuan. That single thought, that single decision, had saved their lives. It was the difference between heaven and hell. The fate of Netherdark Venerable and his comrades was a stark reminder of what a wrong choice would lead to. In the blink of an eye, as the slowest of the three from the Netherwalk Immortal sect was consumed by the 10,000 eras manifested scripture, the remaining two were also overtaken. Though they faced Jiang Chengxuan's might slightly later, their fates were hardly any better. In the face of mortal danger, Netherdark Venerable summoned the Death Claw Immortal treasure, conjuring a massive claw radiating with the aura of death to tear through Jiang Chengxuan's offensive. Yet Jiang Chengxuan simply moved with a thought. Countless golden runes surged forth, forming a sky-covering fist that came crashing down. Rumble! The collision of power shook the heavens, filling the air with deafening booms and surging immortal energy. But it did not last long. The pressure from the 10,000 eras manifested scripture at the level of a golden immortal surged explosively, instantly crushing everything. The aura of death was completely overwhelmed and smothered. Divine immortal flames ignited, engulfing Netherdark Venerable's savage face. Then the golden sea of stars manifested by the scripture continued to roll forward, devastating the void across hundreds of miles. And just like that, in this short span of time, three powerful late-stage heavenly immortals were suppressed by Jiang Chengxuan's hand alone. Not a single one escaped. Hiss! This scene once again stunned Proud Sword Venerable and the others. Their eyelids twitched violently as they involuntarily drew in a sharp breath. Just a few moves had completely annihilated three grand elders of the Netherwalk Immortal sect. What terrifying power! No, impossible, you actually. Netherdark Venerable and the others, they're just gone. And at this very moment, the immortals of the Desolate Blood sect, who had been entangled with Yun Tian and Yun Dai for a long time, finally arrived, though belatedly. From afar, they had expected to see Jiang Chengxuan besieged by the joint forces of the Netherwalk and Heavenly Sword sects, perhaps in dire straits. But what greeted them was the sight of three Netherwalk sect experts crushed by Jiang Chengxuan's 10,000 eras manifested scripture, submerged in a maelstrom of divine immortal energy. The scene left Beast-eyed Demon Venerable and his companions trembling. They stood frozen in the deep sky, wide-eyed, completely stunned. They had gone through great effort to shake off Yun Tian and Yun Dai, and rushed over in hopes of seizing a share of the spoils. They feared that Jiang Chengxuan had already been defeated, and the golden immortal comprehension taken by others. But they never expected that, after all that trouble, they had walked straight into the lion's den. Run, that brat won't let us go. Go, the golden immortal comprehension must already be his. We don't stand a chance. Retreat. The three demon venerables from Desolate Blood, having suffered under Jiang Chengxuan before, reacted instantly without hesitation. They turned and fled. They had faced Jiang Chengxuan several times before and knew his terror well. Even an entire sect couldn't match his might. Though they didn't know exactly what had transpired, there was no doubt that the Netherwalk Immortal sect had been annihilated. The aura of the golden immortal insight was now gone. Unless something unexpected happened, Jiang Chengxuan had clearly claimed it. They no longer had the power to contest it. Running so fast are we? Naturally, Jiang Chengxuan instantly noticed the three old enemies from the Desolate Blood sect. Seeing them flee upon arrival, he couldn't help but chuckle softly and mutter to himself. But how could he possibly let them go at such a time? Just as they moved, he waved his hand, and the 10,000 eras manifested scripture gathered into a pair of radiant wings behind him. In an instant, his figure shot toward the trio like a meteor. What was 100 miles might as well be right in front of him. You've come all this way, why rush to leave? Chapter 1843, Settling Scores Part 2. With the overwhelming support of his immense immortal power, Jiang Chengxuan's speed was terrifyingly fast. In just a moment, he had already closed in not far from the three. Damn it, he's found us. Don't think about it, just run. Hearing Jiang Chengxuan's familiar voice sent a chill through the hearts of the three demonic lords of the arrogant blood sect. Just the nightmare-like sound alone was enough to throw them into chaos. The next moment, dark demonic energy surged wildly around the three, their speed suddenly skyrocketing, fleeing without looking back. Ignoring the direction, they ran recklessly, desperate only to shake off Jiang Chengxuan's pursuit. But no matter how fast they ran, that brilliant and sacred aura behind them steadily closed in, relentless. Growing more and more panicked, the three demonic lords' eyes turned blood red as one of them snarled angrily. Jiang, you won't bully us forever. Jiang Chengxuan said nothing in reply. Instead, a sharp torrent of golden light surged forth like a destructive flood. The soul-shaking pressure descended instantly, suffocating the three demonic lords, making their body hair stand on end. No, 10,000 ghosts devour the heart. Among them, the 10,000 ghost demon lord, always adept at controlling ghosts and souls, was the slowest and the first to be caught by Jiang Chengxuan's attack. In a panic, he frantically waved his soul banner, summoning thousands of fierce ghost spirits to gnaw at Jiang Chengxuan from behind, hoping to block him. But relying on only himself, how could he possibly withstand Jiang Chengxuan? Seeing the 10,000 ghost demon lord left behind, the wild blade demon lord and beast hidden demon lord did not attempt to help. Instead, they ran faster, never looking back, afraid of losing this chance and being caught. Boom! In an instant, the sacred power of the eternal holy scripture surged like a long rainbow piercing the sun, breaking through the 10,000 ghost demon lords' defenses. Countless fierce ghost spirits were transformed into black smoke by the sacred radiance, collapsing like scattered sand at a touch. Where the light passed, the demonic energy vanished without a trace, erased inch by inch. The massive black mist exploded like a giant star shattered by a beam of golden light, shaking heaven and earth. At this moment, the 10,000 ghost demon lord let out a desperate roar. All his power was no match before Jiang Chengxuan's might. In a flash, the sacred torrent shot like an arrow, piercing multiple layers of space, then piercing through the demon lord's protective realm, penetrating his body. The vast and destructive power of the eternal holy scripture immediately erupted wildly, shattering all the demon lord's life force. Thus, this demon lord who had lived tens of thousands of years, withered like a dead tree, his face gradually hollowing and withering, marking his demise. 10,000 ghosts, we will avenge you. Jiang, the arrogant blood sect will never yield to you. We will repay this grudge. Feeling their companion slain by Jiang Chengxuan in one strike, the wild blade demon lord and beast hidden demon lord felt a mix of sorrow and rage. But their speed did not slow for even a moment. Not once did they think of turning back to save him. In that case, why don't you join him now? Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan was stunned at their shamelessness and sneered in mockery. Without stopping his steps, he shook the wings of the eternal holy scripture behind him and dashed past the vast demonic aura left by the fallen 10,000 ghost demon lord, continuing the chase. The two, who barely gained some distance thanks to their companion's sacrifice, gasped deeply upon seeing this and dared no longer respond, clenching their teeth as they turned into demonic light and escaped. For a moment in this deep cosmic space, an eerie scene unfolded. Three late-stage Xianxia-level immortals were engaged in a peculiar one-against-two pursuit. Jiang Chengxuan, clearly much younger than beast hidden and wild blade demon lords, stared resolutely, chasing the two panicked figures with ruthless determination. In truth, with Jiang Chengxuan's majestic immortal power and the support of the 9 mystical Bodhi Lotus Lantern, this pursuit was destined to end in his victory. No matter how much farther the two demons fled, the result would remain unchanged. Jiang, are you really going to keep chasing like this? Jiang Chengxuan, don't be reckless. As Jiang Chengxuan closed in, the beast-hidden demon lord and wild blade demon lord lost their composure. One threatened while the other questioned, trying to dissuade Jiang Chengxuan with words. But at this moment, their words felt powerless. Jiang Chengxuan paid no heed and in a blink was even closer. Soon, Jiang Chengxuan launched his second wave of attacks. This time, the target of the sacred eternal holy scripture's power was the beast-hidden demon lord. In a flash, the golden torrent shattered the deep space, pierced the demonic aura, and transformed into a scorching immortal dragon rushing forward. Seeing this, beast-hidden demon lord knew death was near, with no way to avoid it, and hardened his heart to counterattack. I'll fight you to the death. He roared, shaking a bone bell, tearing open a grim demonic gate. Grotesque colossal beasts charged out, earth-shattering and sky-piercing, summoning demonic energy with him to form a demonic light blast. Boom! Two earth-shattering forces collided fiercely, magic energy and mysterious golden light erupting, destroying space inch by inch. Though beast-hidden demon lord seemed to withstand this blow, before he could rejoice, Jiang Chengxuan unleashed his thunderous method again. He waved his hand, the golden star sea rippling, coalescing into the shadows of auspicious beasts. In an instant, under Jiang Chengxuan's control, They crushed through layers of chaos, heading straight for beast-hidden demon lord. Roar! Immediately, the two massive beasts began a fierce battle on the battlefield, demonic energy and holy light crossing wildly, explosions erupting with each roar. No Jiang. However, this battle was destined to end with beast-hidden demon lord as the final loser. From start to finish, Jiang Chengxuan and he were not on the same level, especially with two golden immortal artifacts supporting Jiang Chengxuan. As one by one, the ferocious beasts formed by the eternal holy scripture tore the monsters apart into rivers of blood and demonic mist. In the end, beast-hidden demon lord was bitten in half by the golden immortal dragon with a miserable roar that never finished. Under the power of the binding formation, neither his immortal body nor his protective realm could save him. This demon lord who had lived tens of thousands of years met his end at this moment, concluding his grudge with Jiang Chengxuan. If beast-hidden demon lord had another chance, surely he would never have schemed against the Yun Nan Feng family that day, which brought about his fatal destiny. But regrets were useless now, and all his remorse was swallowed down, dying with eyes unclosed. One left. Watching beast-hidden demon lord disintegrate under the sacred power, Jiang Chengxuan's heart remained calm and unshaken. Having clashed repeatedly, this time was truly their death sentence. After quickly gathering the relics left behind, Jiang Chengxuan retracted the eternal holy scripture and transformed his wings again, preparing to continue chasing the now far-escaping wild blade demon lord. But just as he was about to set off, for some reason, a sudden sense of unease arose in Jiang Chengxuan's heart. Hello? This unexpected feeling startled him, causing him to furrow his brow. At a time when no gold immortal ancestors from various sects were nearby, something still caused him a clear sense of dread. Seems it's coming from this part of deep space. After carefully sensing for a moment, Jiang Chengxuan whispered, as if feeling the source. Chapter 1844, Deep Space Anomaly, Golden Immortals Shock Part 1. The sudden palpitation stopped Jiang Chengxuan from chasing after the fleeing wild blade demon lord, making him pause. He faintly sensed that some anomaly was occurring in this ancient golden immortal grotto. Something was about to happen. Moreover, the feeling kept growing stronger, wave after wave, telling Jiang Chengxuan this was no illusion or mere coincidence. Dao friend Jiang, how's the situation? How is it, Dao friend Jiang, did you succeed? At that moment, the figures of Yun Tian and Yun Dai appeared not far away in the deep space. After being shaken off by the three demon lords of the arrogant blood sect, they had circled around for some time but finally caught up and found Jiang Chengxuan's location. Thanks to you two, the treasure is already in hand. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan gathered his composure and spoke to Yun Tian and Yun Dai. Good, that's great. What about those from arrogant blood sect, and the ghost creatures from Yuing immortal sect? Upon hearing this, Yun Tian and Yun Dai both breathed a long sigh of relief, showing great joy. Although they had confidence in Jiang Chengxuan and the others, facing the siege of three great immortal sects, no one could be sure of the outcome. When asked, Jiang Chengxuan smiled calmly and didn't try to hide anything. He told the truth straightforwardly. The three elders of Yuing immortal sect have all been beheaded. The beast-hoarding demon lord and the 10,000 ghost demon lord have also fallen. Only the wild blade demon lord remains missing. Those few words contained terrifying news. Before he finished speaking, Yun Tian and Yun Dai were already stunned, their hearts coldly sinking. The three elders of Yuing immortal sect beheaded. The 10,000 ghost demon lord and beast-hoarding demon lord dead. This was utterly shocking, enough to shake one side of the ancient realm and send a tremor through 10,000 sects. Yet Jiang Chengxuan spoke of it so casually. They're all dead. For a moment, even Yun Tian and Yun Dai could not accept this, trembling as they said, disbelief filling their eyes. The arrogant blood sect had long-standing grudges with Yunlin immortal sect, considering each other mortal enemies, full of schemes. But because of that, Yun Tian and Yun Dai knew well the depth of arrogant blood sect's foundation. It was no weaker than Yunlin immortal sect. Even Yuing immortal sect was a legitimate golden immortal level power, strong enough to dominate a section of the ancient realm, proving their might. So when they heard that the strongest forces of these two immortal sects were almost entirely wiped out by Jiang Chengxuan, they were utterly shocked. This meant that in the future, Whether Ewing immortal sect or Yunlin immortal sect would inevitably fall from grace and suffer a long decline. One must know that a late-stage 3 respect profound immortal like that is a pillar of an immortal sect, requiring tens of thousands of years to cultivate. And not only cultivation time, but also fate and foundation, were essential to establish such an immortal sect elder. Yet such figures were directly annihilated by Jiang Chengxuan, creating a chasm in their ranks. One could imagine the severe blow and impact on Ewing immortal sect and arrogant blood sect. Seeing their shock, Jiang Chengxuan could understand. It was the sudden extinction of a former enemy. Anyone would be stunned. Fortunately, Yun Tian and Yun Dai had endured many hardships and shortly accepted it. The two clicked their tongues in amazement and somewhat sentimentally said to Jiang Chengxuan, "This enemy just disappeared like that, truly shocking. Please don't blame us. Your realm is becoming more and more unfathomable. Your future Dao path will surely be boundless. Our Yunlin immortal sect is indeed fortunate to bask in your glory. Haha." At this moment, Yun Tian and Yun Dai were sincerely convinced by Jiang Chengxuan. They realized that Jiang Chengxuan did not even need to talk about the future. Even now, he was comparable to a golden immortal. His prodigious talent had long since fully manifested. "Heh, you two flatter me. These evil paths are all cowards who bully the weak. Death is deserved when indecisive," Jiang Chengxuan said calmly, unmoved by their praise. "Do you have any news of Yun ancestor? I sense that this ancient golden immortal grotto is about to undergo a great upheaval." Ignoring Yun Tian and Yun Dai's admiration, Jiang Chengxuan shifted tone and gathered his expression. His heavy words made Yun Tian and Yun Dai's faces turn solemn as they shook their heads. "Our ancestor has sent no messages. Presumably, he is still vying for the golden immortal enlightenment. Could it be the aftermath of the golden immortal clash causing this place's changes?" Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan frowned deeply, sensing that the matter was not so simple. He shook his head, about to say more, when suddenly the intense palpitations burst forth again. At this moment, even Yun Tian and Yun Dai's eyes widened, their body hairs standing on end. "This, I feel it too." Hiss, suddenly a wave of palpitations, as if a shocking change is truly about to happen. In an instant, Jiang Chengxuan and Yun Tian, Yun Dai all became grave, the mysterious realm behind them shimmering brilliantly. The three's aura gathered without releasing, ready to erupt at any moment. The atmosphere of the deep space suddenly shifted, becoming extremely tense. What had been joyful air moments ago was now heavy, even revealing a hint of danger and eerie sensation. Chapter 1845. Deep Space Anomaly, Golden Immortals Shocked. Jiang Chengxuan and the others were uncertain whether they had inadvertently entered some deadly zone, or if, as Jiang Chengxuan suspected, the entire ancient golden immortal cavern was undergoing a drastic anomaly. However, the unease in their hearts was so vivid it made them shudder involuntarily. Buzz, buzz. Soon the anomaly that filled their hearts began to take shape. From the void, a sharp, urgent buzzing sounded, piercing and intense. In an instant, an overwhelming pressure surged from all directions in deep space. Everything seemed distorted, as if even the fabric of space itself was twisting. In the profound darkness, countless stars flickered on and off, resonating with a mysterious rhythm that defied understanding. It was as if an invisible hand was plucking strings of a cosmic instrument, causing the entire ancient golden immortal cavern to echo with a profound resonance, deeply shocking to the senses. In a daze, Jiang Chengxuan and the others felt disoriented, as if the heavens and earth were continuously spinning, stretching, then expanding again. Yet they were clearly standing still in deep space, without any movement at all. This scene caused Yun Tian and Yun Dai's eyes to harden with extreme seriousness, their breathing growing rapid, their eyes nearly bursting from tension. Even Jiang Chengxuan's strong will sensed the intensifying dread of the anomaly, which was about to erupt at any moment. As the distortion of the heavens and earth intensified, the stars went increasingly wild, shaking the entire deep space violently. Jiang Chengxuan gradually realized that the source of the anomaly was not limited to their location, but was coming from the entire ancient golden immortal cavern. Indeed, as Jiang Chengxuan suspected, it wasn't just them affected. All immortals within the deep space of the ancient golden immortal cavern were caught in the madness at this moment. What is happening? What sudden event is this? What peril have we stepped into? This sight is terrifying. The world itself is twisting. What is going on? Elsewhere, the aimless members of the Heavenly Sword Immortal sect and others were equally shocked and fearful in deep space. After Jiang Chengxuan had pursued the few from the bloodstained gate, they had calmed down and chosen to leave the battlefield, hoping to avoid Jiang Chengxuan. They feared Jiang Chengxuan might circle back and include them in his purge, crushing them altogether. But they hadn't expected such an unprecedented and terrifying anomaly to erupt shortly after their departure. The continuously swirling deep space and twisted darkness left them unable to determine direction. It felt as if the heavens and earth were spinning. This was absolutely terrifying. Immortals at the late profound immortal realm had profound understandings of the Tao of heaven and earth. For them to become disoriented in such a way, the power behind it had to be at least at the golden immortal level. Rumble, rumble. Throughout deep space, everything shook and twisted wildly. Waves of shockwaves spread everywhere, causing thunderous roars. At a certain moment, a change erupted that stunned all immortals. In a flash, the color of the heavens and earth shifted. A blood-red light spread with unbelievable speed from the edges of the universe toward the center. Buzz. Almost instantly, the deep universe turned blood-red. Nebulae were dyed scarlet, resembling blood mist. It was as if the base color of this universe had suddenly become red, sharp and dazzling. This sudden change sent chills down the spines of Jiang Chengxuan and the others. Such vast, deep space, what kind of terrifying power could cause this? Buzz, buzz. Yet more unbelievably, this was only the beginning of the change. Something even more terrifying was still to come. Accompanied by the omnipresent buzzing, in the blink of an eye, the deep space reverted back to its profound darkness. Before Yun Tian and Yun Dai could react, the world instantly shifted again, entirely engulfed by the scarlet blood color. This strange and continuous anomaly caused all immortals scattered throughout deep space to shrink their pupils and tremble in shock. However, their fear was not enough to halt this terrifying scene. Deep space kept switching between the two colors, gradually accumulating an overwhelming power. When it plunged into deep darkness, every inch of space twisted, making all existence chaotic and confused. When it flashed blood red, an invisible pressure arose, the blood light dazzling and stabbing the soul painfully. By this time, everyone clearly realized this anomaly was no benevolent event. At the same time, deep within the universe's deepest corners, Elder Yunxi and others relentlessly chased the two largest fragments of golden immortal insights, their battle shattering the void. The golden immortal universe's strange phenomena erupted behind them, terrifying immortal powers tearing through all obstacles, crushing countless stars. Surrounding Elder Yunxi and the bloodstained demon immortal, golden immortal power spawned myriad transformations. Demon energy ran rampant, and immortal light dazzled, destroying heaven and earth. As longtime rivals who knew each other well, even unleashing countless divine treasures and powers without holding back, they found it hard to determine a victor quickly. Yet just as they battled fiercely, the anomaly engulfing the entire ancient golden immortal cavern erupted. In an instant, both Elder Yunxi and the bloodstained demon immortal felt their hearts quake, sensing the world around them twist. That dreadful unease was impossible to ignore. They immediately broke away from each other, temporarily retreating. The twisted and disorienting vision burst forth at that moment. Only by channeling cosmic illusions against each other could they somewhat suppress the sensation. What is happening? This thought surged in both their minds. The sudden bizarre anomaly spread instantly across the universe, leaving them shocked beyond measure. Buzz. At that very moment, something completely unexpected happened to the two of them. Suddenly, the deep twisted darkness turned a bloody scarlet, transforming into a maddening sensation that stabbed the soul. This startled the two golden immortal masters. They hurriedly unleashed their immortal powers to suppress heaven and earth, attempting to stop the anomaly. However, even with their formidable powers, they couldn't affect the anomaly in the slightest, only able to suppress their immediate surroundings. But in the next moment, as deep space returned to profound darkness, something made both golden immortal masters dumbfounded. Unbeknownst to them, during that brief change, the golden immortal insight fragment they had been pursuing silently vanished without a trace. What? When? They were stunned, crying out in disbelief, unable to accept the situation. Given their perceptual lock and the obvious aura of the golden immortal insight, what power could have made it vanish? Impossible. The blood-stained demon immortal's eyes widened in rage as he roared fiercely, waving his hand. Demon energy surged across the sky, ruthlessly striking toward the last remaining aura of the golden immortal insight fragment. Rumble, rumble. The space was torn apart by his power, revealing vast void and chaos. But despite this, the golden immortal insight fragment was nowhere to be found. The massive, mountain-like treasure had truly disappeared. Where did the treasure go? The golden immortal insight, who took it? At the moment, Elder Xianxia and the bloodstained demon immortal were shocked. Elsewhere in deep space, Elder Tianjian and Great Immortal Yuzing experienced the same eerie scene. As the deep space anomaly flickered away, the golden immortal insight vanished from their perception as well. For a moment, the four golden immortal masters were dumbfounded, unable to accept what had happened, frozen in place, lost and helpless. After chasing and fighting so hard, the golden immortal insight fragment they had been painstakingly pursuing simply vanished before their eyes. How could they accept such a result? Chapter 1846, Desperate Escape, Death Approaches, Part 1. This ancient golden immortal cave is going mad. We have to leave quickly. Brother Jiang, what should we do? Inside the deep void of the ancient golden immortal cave, the chaotic transformations grew ever more intense. The heavens and earth twisted into confusion, at times filled with an endless sensation of disorienting distortion, at others radiating a boundless, sharp killing intent that pierced the soul. Enveloped by these layers of strange phenomena, Yun Tian and Yun Dai could feel the terrifying aura of destruction, trembling as they spoke. At this moment, Jiang Chengxuan and the others had gathered together, unleashing their Zaan realm powers to jointly resist the invisible pressure and dangers. From a certain moment on, the color of the deep void kept shifting and alternating. Each time it changed, a powerful wave would erupt, indiscriminately sweeping through the void. The force of this wave was incredibly fierce. Even with the Zaan realm protection of Zaan immortals, they were continuously shaken, their immortal powers turbulent within their Zaan realm. What was more terrifying was that, since the beginning of the transformation, these attacks had only been intensifying. Whether it was the horrifying pressure and strange forces or the endless waves of assault, each was fiercer and more frequent than the last. Rumble! In the blink of an eye, the deep void alternated again between profound darkness and blood-red light. The invisible waves swept across thousands of miles, shaking heaven and earth. Standing amid the blood-red light, Jiang Chengxuan's gaze grew even more serious as he pondered. At times like this, they really should leave the deep void immediately, escape this universe, and return to the outskirts of the ancient golden immortal cave. However, as the whole universe sank into the deep darkness and the heavens and earth twisted, they couldn't determine directions, wandering in the vast deep void. Perhaps the only chance to leave was when the universe turned blood-red, but still. All right, no matter what we try. When the deep void turns blood-red, follow me. Jiang Chengxuan knew there was no time to waste thinking. Every second the deep void grew wilder, and their situation became more dangerous. He turned and spoke to Yun Tian and Yun Dai, who understood immediately and nodded in agreement. In the instant that followed, the deep void trembled, waves scattering out, stars trembling. Blood-red began to dye the darkness, bathing the entire universe in a crimson glow. At the same moment, Jiang Chengxuan unleashed the full power of his Zaan immortal cultivation at the grand completion stage, his perception spreading thousands of miles, catching every subtle change and trajectory. Go! With that command, he bore the mysterious Zaan realm manifestations and stepped into the void, shouldering the omnipresent destructive sharpness. Yun Tian and Yun Dai dared not hesitate, simultaneously unleashing their immortal powers, forming two beams of escaping light that closely followed Jiang Chengxuan's back. Only when the deep void turned blood-red could they travel at maximum speed without losing their way in the chaos. So the three narrowed their eyes with fierce determination, gathering all their focus, daring not to relax even a little, racing through the void, covering hundreds of miles in an instant. But this opportunity did not last long. Suddenly, accompanied by a shockwave sweeping the entire deep space universe, the three were jolted within their Zaan realm. In a blink, the endless deep darkness twisted back into the void, surrounded by lost black mist from all directions. Jiang Chengxuan and the others were forced to stop, standing still, exhaling a heavy breath. This method seems to work, but I don't know how far we are from the edge of the deep void. Jiang Chengxuan murmured, still frowning tightly. Though this method seemed workable, rushing forward during the blood-red transformations, it was really quite crude. They only had this fleeting moment to sprint at full speed, so it was hard to say how far they could get or when they might escape the deep void. Moreover, Jiang Chengxuan glanced back and saw Yun Tian and Yun Dai were not at ease. Their breaths were somewhat disordered, their immortal powers leaking away. It was clear that even during that blood-red deep void dash, they had not been relaxed, because the deep void's blood-red transformation was not completely safe. Whether it was the invisible shockwave raging through the deep void at the moment of transformation, or the omnipresent destructive sharpness beneath the blood-red light, both were extremely terrifying. In such conditions, forcefully breaking through layers of chaos and rushing forward recklessly, even with Jiang Chengxuan blazing a path for them, they would still suffer immense backlash. It was like crossing a sea of thorns. Even clad in iron armor, one could not pass unharmed. Furthermore, the destructive sharpness radiating in the blood-red deep void also affected their primordial spirits. Yet under these circumstances, no better plan came to mind. They couldn't just sit and wait for death. That was even less realistic. Go! In an instant, without further thought, the vast, boundless deep universe once again shifted into blood-red amid a strong wave of fluctuation. That invisible pressure and sharpness erupted. Jiang Chengxuan gave the order. His tremendous immortal power surged upstream, crushing through the void. Under this, the torrent of immortal power roared, carving out a path. The invisible pressure and mental oppression were forcibly shattered by Jiang Chengxuan. Then, leading the charge, the three figures sped forth once more, flashing past layers of space. In that moment, scenes of blood-red space were left behind them like a flowing river of blood, filled with eerie, swirling red currents as far as the eye could see. Chapter 1847, Fleeing All the Way, Death Approaches, Part 2. But soon, the deep space shook violently once again. A tremendous shockwave swept across the universe, shattering countless meteors and whipping up a fierce storm. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan and the two others immediately stopped, retracting their Xuan realm energy around their bodies, strengthening it with immortal power to form a solid barrier. Rumble, rumble. The powerful shockwave slammed against the boundary of their Xuan realm, triggering deafening roars and bursts of celestial light, stirring the chaotic energy violently. Following that, the entire universe plunged once more into profound darkness, and the space itself became utterly chaotic and disoriented. Up, down, left, and right, all indistinguishable. At this moment, the three could only wait for the blood-red phase of the deep space to return before making their next move. That moment came soon enough, but with each cycle the shockwaves grew ever stronger, the pressure ever heavier. They barely had any time to recover, and the dangers ahead became increasingly grave. In this desperate race against time and death, Jiang Chengxuan, Yun Tian, and Yun Dai exerted every last bit of strength to flee toward the edge of the deep space. In this strange and chaotic mutation, they lost track of time, not knowing how far or how long they had traveled. Cough, cough, cough. At one point, when the deep space again shifted into profound darkness, the situation Jiang Chengxuan dreaded occurred. After countless forced crossings of the blood-colored deep space, Yun Tian and Yun Dai had sustained significant injuries. The relentless shocks had left their breaths erratic, their Xuan realms dimmed with cracks spreading across, and even worse, their primordial spirits had been corroded by the blood-colored space's power, causing persistent stabbing pain and dizziness. Elder Tian, Elder Dai, are you all right? Can you still hold on? At this moment, it was actually Jiang Chengxuan whose energy remained stable. Apart from some fatigue, he showed no major abnormalities. Given Jiang Chengxuan's strength, though the mutation's power grew wave after wave, it still wasn't enough to overwhelm him. But for Yun Tian and Yun Dai, each time they resisted the shockwaves and the invisible pressure of the bloodlight, it was gradually crushing their resolve and strength. Cough, cough, Dao friend Jiang, I'm afraid we won't make it out. Yes, this mutation's power is too tyrannical. We can't bear it anymore. Our injuries are severe. Faced with Jiang Chengxuan's concern, both Yun Tian and Yun Dai looked grim and exhausted, their breaths faint and weak. At this point, despair deepened in their hearts. Their eyes lost all light. No one knew how much further they needed to go before reaching the edge of the deep space, and with the mutation growing ever more terrifying, The journey ahead would only become more arduous. They were already badly injured, and every moment that passed made the mutation's power more fearsome. If they paused to rest, facing the even stronger mutation afterward was uncertain, could be blessing or curse, and might even drag Jiang Chengxuan down. "Dao friend Jiang, you go ahead first. After we recover, we'll catch up with you." Seemingly realizing this, after a struggle of expressions, Yun Tian said to Jiang Chengxuan. Upon hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan did not hesitate in the slightest and resolutely refused. "No. I have miraculous pills to help you recover quickly. You heal fast, and I will protect your path." Jiang Chengxuan knew that although Yun Tian spoke kindly, if he left now, the two elders would have no chance of survival and no way to catch up. Boom! At that moment, deep space shifted again. With the changing colors of heaven and earth, the shockwave surged like a world-shrouding tide, tearing the space into fragments. By now, this shockwave's terrifying strength was more than twice as powerful as before. Seeing that Yun Tian and Yun Dai couldn't hold back the assault, Jiang Chengxuan quickly unleashed his Xuan realm immortal power. The Nine Mysteries Badhai Lotus Lantern spun and glowed, forming a protective layer of immortal light. Rumble, rumble. The fierce destructive power slammed into the barrier, causing explosions and scorching thunderbolts that roared endlessly. "Here, take these and consume them. Your injuries will recover quickly." Amid the turmoil of the changing heavens and earth, Jiang Chengxuan calmly took out two glowing orbs of immortal light and handed them to Yun Tian and Yun Dai. They were two smooth, translucent lotus seeds, radiating nine-colored immortal light with an overwhelming aura of life, the Badhai lotus seeds themselves. How can such precious things be used? With their keen eyesight, Yun Tian and Yun Dai immediately recognized the rarity of the Badhai lotus seeds, their eyes wide and trembling as they spoke. But Jiang Chengxuan was utterly indifferent, forcibly sending the two seeds into their hands with immortal power. "They are external things, how could they be more important than life itself? Hurry, there's still a chance to escape this cursed place." Without giving them time to argue, he swallowed one pill himself, sitting cross-legged within the Xuan realm to refine and restore his strength. Jiang Chengxuan's actions left Yun Tian and Yun Dai speechless and stunned, exchanging glances. Feeling the immense life force emanating from the Badhai lotus seeds in their hands, their hearts trembled as if holding onto hope itself. Without hesitation, the two elders bowed respectfully to the meditating Jiang Chengxuan and then swallowed the lotus seeds, beginning to refine and heal. At this moment, the heavens and earth seemed to return to a dead silence. The vast deep space was suffused with blood-red radiance, surging with destructive aura. But Jiang Chengxuan's manifested Xuan realm was filled with primal runes and the ethereal power of the Nine Mysteries Badhai Lotus Lantern, like an isolated island amid the sea of blood. Within it, Yun Tian and Yun Dai radiated immense life force, their strength recovering at a terrifying speed as their wounds healed. Thanks to the powerful effect of the Badhai Lotus seeds, even the dizziness and pain in their primordial spirits faded as if bathed in spring breeze. This filled Yun Tian and Yun Dai with unrestrained joy. Though they had expected this, the power of the Badhai Lotus seeds still far exceeded their imagination. With such strength, as Jiang Chengxuan said, full recovery would take little time, and perhaps everything was still salvageable. Thinking of this, their gratitude toward Jiang Chengxuan grew even more. At this moment, his image in their hearts was like that of a deity. But there was no time for more words. The two hid their thanks deep inside and poured all their energy into rapid recovery, like rain after a long drought. In this mutation, engulfing the entire deep space of the ancient golden immortal cave mansion, every moment was a glimmer of hope for survival. Meanwhile, as Jiang Chengxuan, Yun Tian, and Yun Dai rested briefly, elsewhere within the mutated deep space, many other surviving immortals also struggled amid the calamity. Somewhere else, the Mad Blade Demon Lord, who had been defeated and driven to flee by Jiang Chengxuan, manifested his demon realm, surging with demonic energy, transforming into beams of demonic light that ravaged the deep space. But now his situation was grim. He was nearly at death's door. With the deep space's mutation growing wave after wave in strength, the Mad Blade Demon Lord had fled all the way here but had reached his limit. "No, I can't die here. I refuse to accept this, Jiang Chengxuan." Feeling death drawing near, the bloodied Mad Blade Demon Lord's face twisted in rage as he roared to the sky. his body already covered in countless wounds. At first, Jiang Chengxuan had not pursued him. The demon lord thought he might escape his grasp. But unexpectedly, after evading Jiang Chengxuan's pursuit, he was caught by this terrifying mutation, and would ultimately perish within the ancient golden immortal cave mansion. Chapter 1848. One wave has not settled, another arises. Part 1. Buzz. In an instant, the stars shifted, the chaotic black mist transforming into a scarlet bloodlight. A terrifying destructive sharpness swept across the stars, tearing apart the void, devouring the last remaining demonic energy of the wild blade demon lord completely. No! The demon lord, who had barely escaped alive after multiple clashes with Jiang Chengxuan, was now utterly crushed by this strange force of deep space mutation. With his final roar filled with unwillingness and despair, the bloodlight spread from all directions, instantly shredding the wild blade demon lord's primordial spirit into countless fragments. Boom! His immortal body exploded together with the mysterious world, leaving behind only his last mark in the blood-colored deep space. A demon lord who had lived countless hundreds of thousands of years at the late Xianxian realm had mysteriously fallen, with no resistance at all, within the ancient golden immortal ruins. This revealed that the ancient golden immortal ruins, while seemingly magnificent, actually concealed unimaginable peril. Take a short rest, take a short rest. Elsewhere in the deep space, the proud sword immortal sect's proud sword Chuan Lord and others were also struggling hard. Compared to the wild blade demon lord, their luck was much better. No one had perished in the sudden mutation, and when the catastrophe erupted, they could cooperate to weather the tribulation. At this moment, proud sword Chuan Lord and his companions were adopting the same crude method as Jiang Chengxuan, giving their all just to escape this vast deep space. They also discovered that they could seize the moment when the deep space turned blood-red to find the right direction to flee. But compared to Jiang Chengxuan, whose strength was at the Tongxuan realm and could force a path with power, they looked much more desperate. The sharp corrosiveness everywhere in the blood-colored deep space made them like walking on thin ice, each step subjected to countless invisible shocks. In this situation, they still formed a sword formation, with one person opening the path and two protecting it, each taking turns bearing the pressure of opening the way, barely maintaining some speed. But in the end, that was their limit. After struggling hard, they were still far from the edge of the deep space, and even much further away than Jiang Chengxuan and his group. Besides them, the golden immortal patriarchs of various immortal sects were also fleeing in this deep space. During their competition, the golden immortal insight suddenly vanished, making their efforts futile. Then, as the mutation broke out, based on their experience, they sensed even more. As the mutation grew more intense, the four golden immortals had almost no time to hesitate. Filled with unwillingness and rage, quickly fleeing beyond the deep space. Because of this deep pit mutation, even for golden immortals, their hearts trembled with dread and destruction. Obviously, under this mutation, not even the power of golden immortals could remain unaffected. What was even worse, Elder Yunshi had been chasing after fragments of ancient golden immortal insight, and unknowingly had traveled to the very depths of this deep space universe. This meant that their path out would be several times longer than Jiang Chengxuan's group. The dangers were naturally unimaginable. If it weren't for the formidable power of golden immortals, barely able to advance amidst the confusion and darkness of the deep space, with the mutation raging fiercer and fiercer on the way, they themselves might have met a death-defying fate. Damn ancient golden immortals, what exactly did they set up in this deep pit? That golden immortal insight fragment might just be bait. In a certain part of the deep space, the ghost-walking great immortal was using his ghost-walking technique to move like a specter through the blood-colored space. Among the four golden immortals, he was the fastest in movement, mastering the ghost-walking art, and now was closest to the edge of deep space. Enduring heavy shocks, ghost-walking great immortal's eyes flickered as he whispered angrily. Being an evil cultivator known for his dark mind, as he fled, he had already begun to suspect the truth behind this mutation. From start to finish, perhaps this deep space was a trap, using golden immortal insight as bait to sacrifice all intruders. Only such a plan could explain so many coincidences, especially the sudden disappearance of the golden immortal insight fragments. and the trajectory that led them deep into this universe's depths. In fact, it was not only him. Elder Yunxi, Elder Tianjian, and others also harbored similar suspicions. But all that no longer mattered. What mattered now was how to survive. With the ancient golden immortals' methods, if one could not escape from here, even golden immortals would inevitably fall. Thinking to this, ghost-walking great immortal's eyes hardened, and his ghostly figure flickered again, crossing hundreds of miles of void in an instant. Not far from him in deep space, Jiang Chengxuan and the brothers Yun Tian and Yun Dai had just finished their first wave of rest. "Friend Jiang, your great kindness needs no thanks. Today's matters this old man will remember for life. Your treasure is truly profound. I feel not only my injuries healed, but even a slight advancement in my cultivation." Rising from their meditation posture, Yun Tian and Yun Dai showed joy and gratitude, immediately bowing to Jiang Chengxuan in thanks. After absorbing and refining the Bodhi lotus seed Jiang Chengxuan had gifted them, they felt revived. Their broken state from resisting the bloodlight mutation restored to its peak. This was nothing short of saving their lives in a desperate situation, like being reborn. Chapter 1849. One wave has not subsided, another rises. Part 2. No matter, we should leave quickly. The longer we delay, the more dangerous this deep space becomes. Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan showed little expression. He nodded calmly and said, "At this moment, the most important thing for me is how to leave this deep space and escape the peril." To that end, he didn't hesitate to use 2 Bodhi lotus seeds to restore Yun Tian and Yun Dai's strength as fast as possible, shortening the time wasted on recovery here. Otherwise, Jiang Chengxuan had countless types of pills on him that could help them. There was no need to use such precious Bodhi lotus seeds. This was partly because he and the two had some acquaintance, and he wouldn't just stand by and watch. More importantly, in this sudden change, having 2 more allies was crucial. "All right, we'll follow your lead, Dao friend Jiang. Let's go." With that, at once, the 3 of them, now restored to their peak state, surged with massive amounts of immortal energy that shot up to the heavens, transforming into vast beams of light that condensed but did not release. When the deep space turned blood-red and the shockwaves came, they exploded their immortal energy, shattering the all-pervasive corrosion and opening a path to escape at top speed. This time, the forces of the anomaly were even more terrifying. Even Jiang Chengxuan dared not relax for a moment. He had to perfectly seize each opportunity, breaking through the thinnest part of the bloodlight. It was a race against death itself, an endless battle. No one knew if they could survive. They could only struggle through infinite torment until the very last moment. However, just when they thought one wave had passed, another was about to strike. An unexpected danger was rapidly approaching Jiang Chengxuan and the others. While Jiang Chengxuan, Yun Tian, and Yun Dai resumed their flight, thousands of miles away, the great immortal Yuing immediately sensed an unusual fluctuation in immortal energy. His eyes sharpened as he almost instantly identified whose aura it was. "Jiang Chengxuan." Yuing's voice was cold as he muttered to himself. Undoubtedly, this aura, powerful enough to rival a golden immortal, could only belong to one person within this ancient golden immortal's domain. In that instant, Yuing's mind stirred with murderous intent. Without question, his Yuing immortal sect shared a deep blood feud with Jiang Chengxuan. Moreover, Jiang Chengxuan's terrifying talent cast a huge shadow and threat upon Yuing. Because of these 2 reasons, once an opportunity presented itself, he would not hesitate to kill Jiang Chengxuan. Otherwise, letting a tiger return to the mountain would bring great calamity to the Yuing immortal sect in the future. This guy absolutely cannot be allowed to live. Without further thought, once he sensed Jiang Chengxuan was so close to him, Yuing immediately made his decision. Even with the ancient golden immortal's trap active, life and death hanging by a thread, he had to take this chance to eliminate Jiang Chengxuan. In the next moment, deep space erupted again, the bloodlight receded, and a profound chaotic darkness enveloped the world. Thousands of miles away, Jiang Chengxuan and the others were forced to halt and wait. Maybe this is a good opportunity. Seeing this, Yuing's heart swelled with secret joy. For him, this cloak of chaotic darkness was a perfect chance. With his insight, he immediately guessed how Jiang Chengxuan and the others were advancing through this deep space. They could not see through the darkness and confusion, but he could. Under such circumstances, If he hid within the chaos to launch a surprise attack, how could Jiang Chengxuan and the others react in time? Hezeli. At this thought, Ewing almost laughed aloud in his mind. To him, Jiang Chengxuan's appearance was an enormous surprise, enough to compensate for some golden immortal insights he had not acquired. Be able to kill a prodigy like Jiang Chengxuan, his sworn enemy, was enough to excite Ewing to the extreme. Relying on his golden immortal perception, Ewing turned into a ghostly figure and stealthily approached Jiang Chengxuan and the others, moving into the depths of the dark deep space. Although his speed was much slower in the darkness, Jiang Chengxuan's group frequently stopped and started, which made it inevitable that Ewing would catch up using this unexpected method. As for the approaching enormous danger, Jiang Chengxuan and his two companions were completely unaware. They could never have imagined that at such a moment, someone would risk life and death to attack them. Furthermore, that person was able to hide within the deep space darkness, bypass the confusion and distortion, and approach them secretly. Without sensing the danger, they mechanically and precisely advanced. When the blood-red burst appeared, all three would break through space together. When the darkness and distortion descended, they would wait in place. No one knew how much time had passed during this. At a certain instant, as the deep space turned blood-red again, the three traveled 100 miles and then stopped. Suddenly, an unprecedentedly chilling sensation exploded, engulfing all of Jiang Chengxuan's mind. This feeling was even more intense than before the anomaly appeared, causing Jiang Chengxuan's whole body to shudder and his hair to stand on end. Despite not knowing what was happening, his years of experience near death made him instantly draw a certain treasure from his bosom and activate it. Then, from the twisted chaotic darkness above and behind them, a ghostly figure suddenly appeared, unleashing an overwhelming, sky-shrouding force and attacking fiercely. Everything happened so fast, so suddenly, that Yun Tian and Yun Dai hadn't even reacted before the terrifying attack almost landed on them. Only then did they shudder, feeling as if they had fallen into an icy abyss. The golden immortal level pressure almost suffocated them, nearly causing them to faint. Without even looking at the source, the attack had already slammed into Jiang Chengxuan's position. Rumble! In an instant, terrifying heavenly light and netherworld power tore space apart, shaking 1,000 miles around. Countless chaotic currents stirred up giant waves, destroying heaven and earth. The overwhelming force blew Yun Tian and Yun Dai away, tossing them dozens of miles through the deep space turbulence, showing just how terrifying the strike was. Keep in mind, what hit them was only the leftover shockwave. Dao Friend Jiang. Dao Friend Jiang. After a while, once they recovered from their shock and suffocation, Yun Tian and Yun Dai finally realized what had happened. They cried out with heart-wrenching pain, their eyes bloodshot and tears welling up. Although they didn't know how Jiang Chengxuan had managed it, it was obvious that in that instant, Ewing the Great Immortal had ambushed him like a ghost. The golden immortal level pressure and overwhelming netherworld power clearly identified the culprit. The scene completely stunned Yun Tian and Yun Dai. Under such circumstances, they couldn't imagine how Jiang Chengxuan could possibly survive. No, Dao Friend Jiang, you cannot die. Damn it, damn it. Looking at the chaotic deep space devastation, Yun Tian and Yun Dai panicked like children. Even with their experience, they didn't know how to react. In this suffocating deep space anomaly, survival was already a matter of luck. Now an evil golden immortal was willing to strike to kill. Who could possibly face that? However, Ewing, who stood at the heart of the raging storm after landing that strike, was not as jubilant as expected. Instead, his eyes narrowed, brows furrowed tightly in a cold, serious expression. This was because, at the critical moment when his attack struck like lightning, a force had suddenly blocked him. This was something Ewing had never anticipated, and he could not predict whether his assassination attempt had succeeded or failed. Chapter 1850, Confrontation with Ewing Part 1. This sudden and unexpected event caught everyone off guard. Even Jiang Chengxuan himself hadn't anticipated that someone would strike at him at such a moment, especially while they were trapped within the lost and chaotic depths of the deep space. In this abnormal space, they had been moving in accordance with the rules of the cosmic anomaly, stopping during the deep space's darkness and only unleashing their power during the blood-red phase, fighting against the mutated forces. This pattern, repeated again and again, had formed a kind of habit and suggestion. They subconsciously believed that when the deep space descended into chaotic darkness, no one could traverse it. But in reality, with the power of a golden immortal, it was possible to move through the darkness. This was a fatal information gap, and it made Ewing Daxian's assassination attempt perfectly flawless. Just before striking, Ewing Daxian looked at Jiang Chengxuan and the others, who were completely unguarded and nearly burst with joy. It was as if he had already seen Jiang's dying form. Yet to his utter surprise, in that split second, Jiang Chengxuan seemed to react, using a mysterious power to resist his golden immortal force. Hum! At that moment the cosmic anomaly flared again. With a strange humming, the blood light surged wildly, filling every inch of space with destructive intent. The raging underworld storm was swept away instantly, leaving the chaotic void in ruins. Then a voice slowly emerged, shocking everyone present. Ewing Daxian, so it's you. Hearing this, Ewing Daxian's eyes blazed with killing intent, and his hopeful expression instantly turned grim. On the other side, Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai, shocked as if mourning a lost soul, were stunned for a moment. Then their eyes flared with disbelief, replacing sadness with shock. Jiang Daoist, you're all right. That's great, truly great. The two cried out, nearly overwhelmed with joy. From beneath the blood-colored shroud of deep space, a shadowy figure slowly stepped forward. It was none other than Jiang Chengxuan himself. Having skirted the edge of death, Jiang's expression had lost its usual calmness, replaced by a boundless chill. Ewing Daxian's assassination attempt had almost cost him his life, and even now, Jiang still felt lingering heart palpitations. You really are stubborn. Ewing Daxian appeared even graver than Jiang, frowning deeply with a mixture of shock and fury. Clearly, Jiang's appearance meant that the carefully planned assassination had failed at the last moment. Despite some instability in his aura and his disheveled appearance, Jiang Chengxuan had escaped with barely a scratch, a narrow escape indeed. No doubt, at the critical moment, Jiang had used some fleeting opportunity or method to save himself. This was a humiliating slap to Ewing Daxian's face. As a golden immortal, he had resorted to a sneak attack on a lesser Xuan immortal, only to be completely thwarted, leaving the younger man unscathed. Not to mention, Ewing's sect specialized in ghostly assassination techniques, making this failure all the more shameful, a lifelong stain on his record. Jiang Daoist, are you truly all right? Thank heavens, you're unharmed, you gave us such a fright. Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai hurried over to Jiang's side, anxiously interrupting the tense confrontation between Jiang and Ewing. No worries, I'm fine, you two should step back first. Jiang Chengxuan's calm returned as he reassured them, though his gaze remained locked on Ewing Daxian, signaling he had no intention of letting this matter go easily. But, be careful. Cloud Tian opened his mouth to say more, but Cloud Dai, sensing the tension, stopped him. They knew Jiang's resolve was unshakable. Without hesitation, the two quickly withdrew to a distance, standing guard silently. Neither Ewing Daxian nor Jiang Chengxuan's fight was something they could intervene in. Their only choice was to witness in silence. Soon, the oppressive sense of looming danger filled the space again. Under the blood-red shroud of deep space, destruction, killing intent, and invisible energy all intertwined with peril and strangeness. Looks like you failed to seize the golden, immortal enlightenment after all. In the midst of this standoff, Jiang Chengxuan spoke first, suddenly asking Ewing Daxian. He had sensed that Ewing's presence here meant some unexpected change had occurred in the contest for the golden immortal enlightenment. HMPH. That was nothing but a trap. Ewing Daxian snorted coldly, but did not rush to attack. His words sent a shock through Jiang Chengxuan, though he remained calm and composed. With Jiang's experience, he could instantly guess the underlying reasons. However, now was not the time to discuss the details, nor was Ewing someone Jiang could trust. Their conversation was merely a prelude, waiting for the right moment to strike.